Chapter 477. In the 3,000 Dao provinces, a terrifying scene was currently unfolding. Darkness matter leaked out from spirit realm, infecting the other great provinces, some even starting to surge towards the 9 heavens. What is that? Where exactly did it come from? Darkness invasion, those who touch it will definitely die. Was it this that destroyed the entire spirit realm? The countless cultivators of the 3,000 provinces were shocked, terrified, trembling in fear. This was especially the case for the great provinces that were closer to the black mist. The cultivators within the provinces frantically fled, but just how fast was the black mist spreading? Forget about those cultivators who hadn't even ignited their divine flames. Even heavenly deity realm cultivators couldn't escape death. Only cultivators at the void Dao realm and above could surpass the black mist spreading speed, thus escaping disaster. However, just how many void Dao realm and above experts were there in the 3,000 Dao provinces? The most terrifying thing was that this black mist's corrosive speed became faster and faster, like a black wave beating against the shore, engulfing the 3,000 provinces. Dead, they're all dead. Apart from me, not a single one of them escaped. A void Dao realm expert cried out. He was originally the most powerful expert of that province, a sect master of a region. Right now, he didn't have the calm attitude of someone in a higher position, only his face full of fear. He was the sole survivor of that province, but right when his terrified voice finished speaking, his forehead began to turn green, his face becoming ashen. Then, a mouthful of black blood sprayed out, directly dying. There were self-severing realm experts who went to investigate, discovering that his primordial spirit had scattered, as if it had been completely destroyed, disappearing without a trace. Meanwhile, his body was completely fine, without the slightest injury. This type of strange black mist was too terrifying, spreading like a plague, bringing about an unprecedented great disaster. Darkness matter! Why did we run into it? Could it be that the dark great era is going to arrive early? Hurry and return to celestial domain. We have to let immortal king great ones know about this. A few immortal domain experts who were currently choosing disciples seemed to know something. When they saw the quickly spreading black mist, their expressions changed greatly, fear surging into their eyes, their bodies starting to tremble. This was a calamity that could wipe out the world. It wasn't just the 3,000 Dao provinces, the 9 heavens 10 earths were also affected. All of the inheritances were fleeing, extremely terrified. This black mist had no way of resisting at all. Have the lords of the immortal region left? One of the juniors of my clan has caught their eye. Quickly go and ask them if they can bring my clan into the celestial realm. This unknown black fog is really too terrifying. Gradually, the 9 heavens became chaotic, even a few long-life families unable to remain calm. Another 2 hours passed. Imperial Pass desolate border. Close to 10,000 immortal realm experts gathered above heaven abyss, and there was no lack of true immortal experts among them. Now, they no longer had the indifference they had when they first arrived. Only panic and fear remained on their faces. As people from the immortal realm, they were very familiar with this dark matter. Not to mention them, even those supreme existences at the peak of the true immortal realm, or even the quasi-immortal king realm, were powerless in the face of this dark matter. It wasn't just because the dark matter was terrifying, but because there were terrifying living beings within the thick black fog, and some of them were even comparable to celestial kings. The existences in the 9 heavens 10 earths didn't stay in the 9 heavens 10 earths of their own volition. Tens of thousands of years ago, they were contaminated when they fought with the existences in the black mist. They couldn't return to the immortal region and could only stay here. Is the portal ready yet? How much longer? Some immortal realm experts revealed anxious expressions. Soon. We'll be able to leave this damned lower realm soon. Accompanied by a rumble, a portal formed above heaven abyss. This portal was different from the one they came from. It was incomparably huge, and it was opened by the combined efforts of close to 10,000 immortal realm experts. Rumble, however, seeing the portal form, These immortal realm experts didn't even have time to rejoice before the portal was shattered by a terrifying wave of energy. What's going on? Looking at the distorted and shattered portal, close to 10,000 immortal realm experts frowned, and their expressions were incomparably ugly. Could it be that we've been abandoned too? No. We really shouldn't have come down. After a long while, some true immortal experts seemed to have guessed something and let out a series of helpless sighs. My lord, what do you mean by that? Could it be that we're going to stay here forever like those existences in the Forbidden Land? No. The old ancestor won't abandon us. When they heard these true immortals' words, countless immortal realm experts immediately entered a state of panic, crazily rushing towards the distorted portal in the sky dome above. However, as soon as they approached that collapsed portal, they were shaken by a wave of boundless power from above until their blood and chi surged. The great era of darkness is about to arrive. In order to prevent you all from bringing corruption into immortal realm, under the orders of the 3 immortal kings, we will refine this world with the 8 sides 9 cauldron formation. While everyone was in a state of panic, an ice-cold and indifferent voice sounded from within the distorted and collapsed portal. What? Immortal kings are going to refine this world. If that's the case, wouldn't we undoubtedly die? Why? Why are immortal kings treating us like this? Let us go back. We haven't been corrupted. When they heard this, close to 10,000 immortal realm experts roared out in horror, their hearts and lungs splitting. Before death, even if they cultivated to their level, they still couldn't remain calm. This situation is even worse than what we imagined. Several immortal realm true immortals looked at each other, smiling bitterly, their faces carrying helplessness. On the other side, within the largest manor in Imperial Pass City, Meng Tianjing, Zhao Haotian, Immortal Wang and the other supreme beings stood in front of Chu Bei with incomparable respect, their eyes full of deep worry. Apart from Meng Tianjing and the other supreme beings, there was also a fatty who was currently pacing back and forth. Boss Chu, the black mist they are talking about is definitely the darkness matter my master deduced. According to what my master said, our 9 heavens 10 earths is about to disappear. Chao Yuxing looked at Chu Bei respectfully. Master, do you have a way to stop this? Sure Hao probingly asked. Meng Tianjing and the others on the side were full of expectation. Those fellas in the restricted region should come out for some fresh air as well. Chu Bei didn't directly reply to Shi Hao's question, instead muttering this to himself. Right when Shi Hao, Chao Yuxing, Meng Tianjing and the others were thinking about the meaning behind Chu Bei's words, their bodies trembled, the scene before them changing. When they snapped out of their daze, they were already in the skies above a gloomy and continuous mountain range. When they looked down, they couldn't see any birds or beasts, nor could they hear any cries. There was only an expanse of deathly stillness, making one's heart tremble inexplicably. This is Death Mountain Range. Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang and the other supreme beings immediately recognized where they were, all of their expressions changing. This mountain range was one of the 9 heavens 10 earths restricted regions. Even those as powerful as them didn't dare rashly step foot in. It was because there was a precedent, a supreme being who wanted to explore this place, but less than 10 minutes after entering, his corpse was thrown out by the existences in the mountain. Who dares disturb my rest? Suddenly, an ice-cold and overcast voice sounded from the mountain. Then, a wave of boundless and terrifying aura spread. This was Immortal Dao Aura, suppressing Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang and the others until they couldn't breathe. Darkness has already arrived, a new great era has arrived. Are you all going to turn a blind eye to it? Chu Bei looked down, his overcast voice carrying a hint of mockery. Turn a blind eye? Truly laughable. Back then, how much did I give up in that battle? But what did I get in the end? Abandoned by the celestial realm, I can only stay in this lower realm. The being in the mountain shouted coldly, his voice carrying anger. Leave immediately or else die. However, just as the being in the mountain finished speaking, Chu Bei waved his sleeve. Then, a wave of ripples appeared in the distant sky. Within the ripples, an incomparably enormous hand covered the mountain range. The giant hand pressed down, creating a sky-shocking rumble. This mountain range collapsed. A figure flew out, standing in the air, looking at Chu Bei with incomparable fear. Celestial! Celestial King! This was a silver-haired man, his face carrying an indelible scar. You have two choices right now. The first choice is to disperse the dark matter, and I will bring you back to the celestial realm. The second choice is to be buried here. Chu Bei was expressionless, but his calm voice was full of majesty. The silver-haired man was stunned. He looked at the mountain range that had already turned into ruins. Without much hesitation, he flew towards the 3,000 Dao provinces. Chapter 478. Let's go to the next place. In the distant sky, Chu Bei glanced indifferently at the Death Mountain range below. As soon as he finished speaking, the group appeared above a lake in the blink of an eye. The demonic chrysalis lake was also one of the forbidden areas of the 9 heavens 10 earths. Chu Bei was straightforward. He threw out a punch, and the lake water instantly evaporated. Soon, a black flood dragon flew out. In terms of aura, it was even stronger than the red-haired man in the Death Mountain range. However, it also didn't dare to act rashly in front of Chu Bei. Chu Bei still gave it two choices. The black flood dragon chose the same as the red-haired man and flew toward the area where the dark matter was spreading. Then the third, fourth, fifth. In 15 minutes, Chu Bei had visited all the forbidden areas of the 9 heavens 10 earths. Most of them had already stepped into the immortal Dao domain, and there were even 2 half-immortal kings. Host has completed the mission. Level 16 Commodity Authority can be unlocked. Mission 1. Break through the void barrier between the 9 heavens 10 earths and the immortal region, along with the 2 realms. Not long after visiting all the forbidden areas, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. It's finally here. Hearing the system's voice, the corners of Chu Bei's mouth raised into a smile. The Level 16 Commodity Authority mission was unlocked. At the same time, look! The darkness over there has dispersed. Who is that figure? In the 9 heavens 10 earths, other than Senior Chu, there is such a powerful existence? He forced the creatures in the darkness to retreat. We're saved. We're alive! As time passed, immortal Dao experts appeared in all the areas shrouded in black fog in the 9 heavens 10 earths. They were fighting against unknown creatures in the darkness, releasing terrifying auras. They're out. Those existences in the forbidden areas have all come out. It's him. It's the person who killed the Myriad Beast Palace Master. Where did he come from? I thought he was also from the immortal region, but when I saw his appearance, I didn't remember such an existence. Could it be that he's the immortal king of the 9 heavens 10 earths? Impossible! In the battle of Immortal Ancient, all the true immortals in the 9 heavens 10 earths died. How could there be an immortal king? Above the walls of the border pass, the immortal region experts looked in the direction of the various forbidden zones. When they sensed that the powerful existences in these forbidden zones were being forced toward the area where the dark matter was spreading by the same aura, all of their faces were filled with astonishment. Although they could not figure out that aura, they felt a trace of familiarity. It was the same as the aura that had killed the Myriad Beast Palace Master. With the immortal Dao experts from the Forbidden Zone taking action, the dark matter spreading throughout the 9 majors and 10 lands began to recede back into the crack in the spirit world. The dark matter disappeared. The surviving cultivators of the 9 heavens 10 earths began to cry out in surprise, excitement on their faces. The darkness has been expelled! The experts of the immortal realms above the heaven abyss seemed to have sensed the disappearance of the darkness energy. They exchanged glances with one another, as a strange light flashed in their eyes. But so what? The immortal region has already abandoned us. The 9 cauldron formation of the 8 directions is about to be activated. This world will soon be refined. When that time comes, we will return to nothingness with the destruction of this world. I really can't accept this. I didn't expect those immortal king patriarchs to treat us like this. They are also trying to protect themselves. While looking at the distorted gate in the sky dome above, more and more immortal domain experts began to feel discontent. They came! Following an immortal domain true immortal's cry of alarm, powerful auras began to surge over from all directions. Then, figures appeared above Imperial Pass walls one after another. They each floated in the void, releasing terrifying auras. Were you all also abandoned? A red-robed man coldly swept his eyes over the group of immortal domain experts. The group of immortal domain experts looked at each other in dismay. They all nodded towards the white-haired man without prior consultation, their faces carrying respect. This really is their style. The red-robed man gave the distant sky dome a look, releasing a shout. A wave of majestic energy rushed into the heavens, smashing into that distorted gate. Immediately afterwards, only a muffled noise could be heard. The immortal domain experts behind that gate seemed to have been blasted flying. Hong long long, right at this time, the sky dome above the 9 heavens 10 earths rumbled. One could vaguely hear the sounds of great cauldrons colliding. 9 cauldron formation of the 4 directions. Ouching Taisher Yuan Chu, for the sake of putting an end to future troubles, you all really are going all out. Amidst a terrifying and strange voice, in the east, west, south and north of the 9 heavens 10 earths, 900,000 zhang tall great cauldrons appeared. 36 great cauldrons floated in the sky dome, immortal Tao radiance connecting them. Dazzling symbols flowed about, as if they were a single entity. While looking at the 36 great cauldrons, the expressions of the immortal Tao experts from the restricted region instantly changed. Their eyes all carried great anger, especially those 2 half-immortal kings, their eyes even already revealing killing intent. Ao Feng Great One, Gani Great One, this is the will of the 3 immortal king ancestors. Your descendants, the immortal kings, said that they will take care of them. A voice sounded from that distorted gate again, these words spoken to those 2 half-immortal kings. 111! The moment the gate's voice sounded from the distant sky dome, the 36 great cauldrons above the 9 heavens 10 earths trembled at the same time, erupting with resplendent radiance, instantly filling the entire 9 heavens 10 earths. Immediately afterwards, ripples appeared in the void of the 9 heavens 10 earths, slowly distorting at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hong long long! Continuous mountain ranges exploded, great rivers flowed in reverse. The sky dome became a blood color, as if the end of the world had arrived. Do you all really think that by refining this world, the great era of darkness won't affect immortal domain? Truly laughable. A furious roar sounded. The half-immortal king named Ao Feng appeared in front of a great cauldron. His fist smashed out, erupting with incomparable immortal Tao energy. However, the great cauldron trembled, and then an even more terrifying wave of recoil force blasted Ao Feng back. As expected, not even half-immortal kings can do anything to the 4 sides 9 cauldrons formation. It's already a foregone conclusion. In the end, we have become the burial objects of this world. When they saw that Ao Feng's attack was useless, immortal domain's experts were like dead ashes, the only hope in their eyes completely shattered. The expressions of the restricted region existences were also incomparably ugly, overcast to the extreme. Actually wishing to refine the 9 heavens 10 earths, the one who made this decision deserves death. Suddenly, a calm voice sounded in the minds of countless experts above Imperial Pass. When they heard this, the eyes of immortal domain's experts that originally dimmed suddenly shone with brilliance again, surging with hope once more. Great One! Including Ao Feng and Gani, the 2 half-immortal kings, when the restricted region experts reacted, they also revealed a bit of joy. They immediately cupped their fists towards the figure that suddenly appeared before them, expressions of respect on their faces. Not long ago, they personally experienced the terrifying strength of this man of unknown origins. That wave of pressure was definitely not weaker than any immortal king they knew of. The things this Great One has promised you all, I will naturally accomplish them. Chu Bei nodded towards Ao Feng, Gani and the other restricted region experts. Behind him stood Shi Hao, Chao Yuxing, Meng Tianjing and the others. When his voice fell, Chu Bei's eyes calmly looked towards the 36 great cauldrons in the sky dome. Then, with a wave of his sleeve, a golden longsword appeared. The sword hilt and sword body were respectively engraved with different divine patterns, releasing hazy fluorescence, mysterious energy swirling about. This was the level 19 killing item he exchanged. Its name was Immortal Killing Sword. 1-1. Chu Bei lightly flicked his finger, landing on the sword body. Immediately, the sword blade trembled, releasing resplendent radiance. Immediately afterwards, 36 streaks of golden sword radiance shot out from the sword blade, perfectly matching the 36 great cauldrons' positions. Pung pung pung. The 36 streaks of sword radiance smashed into different great cauldrons at the same time. First, there was a wave of clear shattering sounds, and then there were continuous explosions, echoing through the 9 heavens 10 earths. The cauldron shattered, shattered. The 4 sides 9 cauldrons great formation has been broken. The darkness matter has retreated, the immortal king great formation has been broken, which means that we are fine. While looking at the 36 great cauldrons that collapsed, and then at the gradually calming void around them, the immortal domain experts were first stunned, and then they revealed excited expressions when they reacted. 1-1. Before the experts of the immortal region could calm their excited hearts, an even more exciting scene occurred. They only saw Chu Bei hold the immortal killing sword's hilt, his right hand brandishing diagonally. Accompanied by a buzzing sound, a 30,000-meter long ray of sword light shot out from the blade and instantly appeared below the warped gate. The endless sword radiance entered the gate, terrifying energy storms crazily spreading with it as the center, seeping even deeper. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, the distorted gate directly exploded, forming a huge gap. Following that, the spirit chi that was countless times denser than the 9 heavens 10 earths gushed out crazily from the gap, making one feel refreshed. It's open! We can return to the immortal domain! Looking at the transparent gap, whether it was the existences of the forbidden zones or the immortal domain experts who had just descended, they even forgot to exclaim at Chu Bei's strength, and all of them were so excited that their bodies trembled. Especially the existences of the forbidden zones. Although they had lived in the forbidden zones in the lower realm for tens of thousands of years, this was ultimately not their home. They did not have their family in the 9 heavens 10 earths, and they did not have anything familiar. Now that they could return to their home, how could they not be excited? Host has broken through the void barrier between the 9 heavens 10 earths and the immortal domain. Mission completed. Mission 2, merge the 9 heavens 10 earths and the immortal domain. The system's voice rang out in his mind. After being stunned for a moment, Chu Bei took a step forward and flew toward the huge gap that led to the immortal domain. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the next moment, countless divine rainbows shot into the sky, following Chu Bei into the huge gap. At the same time, on the other side of the huge gap, the group of perfected immortals in the immortal domain stared blankly at the gap that had suddenly exploded. They were all numb. They looked at each other, their faces filled with shock. The 4 sides 9 cauldrons formation has been broken. The barrier between the immortal domain and the 9 heavens 10 earths has been broken through. How is that possible? This is bad. Quickly report to the immortal king. However, just as this group of perfected immortals was about to leave, several figures rushed out of the gap, followed by cheers. Lord Ao Foam, Lord Gon E. Could it be that you guys destroyed the immortal king patriarch's formation? And broke through the barrier? Could it be that your cultivation has already broken through to the immortal king realm? The group of perfected immortals' gazes landed on the 2 quasi-immortal kings from the forbidden zones. Their words were filled with surprise, completely ignoring Chu Bei who was at the front. Is this the immortal domain? Meng Tianjing, Wang Changxing, and the others looked around and muttered to themselves, their eyes filled with shock. Although they had known about the existence of the immortal domain for a long time, this was the first time they had stepped into the immortal domain. Looking around, their hearts were in turmoil. Right in front of them, the land was broken, and behind it was a boundless starry sky. A huge object stood in the starry sky. It was too big, and they couldn't see the end of it. The sun, moon, and stars revolved around it. It floated quietly in the starry sky, releasing dense immortal chi. Lord, that's Panwang City. Ao Feng pointed at the huge city in the starry sky in front of them and said to Chu Bei. Panwang, the supreme immortal king of the immortal domain, was also one of the strongest. He had lived for an extremely long time, and no one could say for sure what era he was from. Panwang City, which he established, was also one of the largest ancient cities in the immortal domain. It had existed since ancient times and prospered for countless eras. Who are you? The group of true immortals sensed Ao Feng's respect towards Chu Bei, and their expressions changed greatly. Chu Bei ignored the group of true immortals. Instead, he pushed his divine sense to the maximum, seemingly sensing something. After a while, Chu Bei said plainly, "As I expected, the immortal domain has been invaded by the creatures of darkness a long time ago." "Lord, what do you mean? There are creatures of darkness in the immortal domain too?" Ao Feng and Gani both trembled when they heard Chu Bei's words. If that was the case, then how powerful were the creatures of darkness that could fool the immortal king? Buzz, buzz, buzz. Before Chu Bei could answer Ao Feng and Gani's questions, tens of thousands of divine rainbows streaked across the starry sky of the immortal domain, and instantly appeared above Panwang City. What happened there? The barrier has been broken. The immortal domain is connected to the lower realm. Damn it! How can this be? The lower realm has been contaminated. Who did this? Ao Feng and Gani! Why are they back? This must be related to them. More and more immortal domain experts gathered at Panwang City. When they saw the huge gap, they all frowned, and their expressions turned ugly. Hurry and invite the immortal king! That's right, only they can repair the barrier now. If we're late, the immortal domain will be contaminated by the dark matter. Some true immortals of the immortal domain shouted anxiously. Chapter 479. Let's capture Ao Feng, Gani, and the others first and wait for the immortal king's interrogation. 3 figures appeared above Pan King's city. Their auras were extremely powerful, and they had all reached the level of a half-immortal king. At this moment, the 3 figures' gazes were locked onto Ao Feng and Gani. Rumble! Cold in the forest shouted, and the 3 half-immortal kings attacked at the same time, rushing towards Ao Feng and Gani. Let's also take down these people from the lower realm. Almost at the same time, the group of true immortals rushed towards the others from 9 heavens 10 earths. Bang! However, whether it was the 3 half-immortal kings or the group of true immortals, they were sent flying by a terrifying force before they could even get close to Ao Feng, Gani, and the others. If it wasn't for the fact that this power was deliberately restrained, their souls would have already dissipated. This is immortal. Immortal king-level power! The 3 half-immortal kings coughed out blood, and their expressions changed drastically. After looking at each other, they once again observed the group of people from 9 heavens 10 earths in horror. In the end, the 3 of them fixed their gazes on Chu Bei. While they were shocked, their eyes were also filled with suspicion. What? There are immortal kings among them! Didn't the immortal kings of 9 heavens 10 earths all die in the battle of Immortal Ancient? Hearing the words of the 3 half-immortal kings, the immortal region cultivators above Pan King's city frowned in shock. Pan King has come out of seclusion! At this moment, a cry of surprise sounded from the crowd. Then, the originally calm depths of Pan King's city suddenly surged with primal chaos. Then, a figure walked out from the primal chaos. He wore an ancient Taoist robe, looking blurry and ethereal. With a step, he appeared at the front of the crowd. Ao Feng, Gani, I've indeed let you down for what happened back then. Since you've returned, I'll compensate you. Pan King's gaze swept across Ao Feng and Gani as he let out a faint sigh. Pan King, what happened back then had nothing to do with you. Among all the immortal kings in Immortal Region, you're the only one I respect. You've done enough for us back then. Seeing Pan King appear, Ao Feng and Gani immediately bowed with respectful expressions. But I still couldn't change your ending. Pan King shook his head with an apologetic tone. Pan Wang, do you know about the 4 sides 9 cauldrons formation? Is this the decision of Aoqing, Taishe, and Yuan Chu? Ao Feng's words were filled with anger. I tried but failed. Pan Wang sighed again. There were some things that he could not change by himself. This was his helplessness. Ao Feng, Gani! We haven't seen each other for 1,000,000 years, and you already dare to call this king by his name? Suddenly, a cold shout was heard. It carried along with it an overpowering amount of energy and a dense amount of killer's intent. Aoqing, for your own selfish reasons, you actually used the 4 directions 9 cauldrons formation to refine the entire Jyotian Shidi. Isn't this method a bit too much? Ao Feng and Gani looked in the direction of the voice. Their auras began to rise, resisting the terrifying immortal king pressure. 1,000,000 years ago, the 9 heavens and 10 earths were already polluted. Now that the dark matter is attacking again, why can't I just bury this realm? Aoqing's voice sounded again. Moreover, immortal kings don't need a reason to kill. Ao Feng, Gani, have you been in the lower realms for too long and forgotten your identities? In the celestial region, we are the true kings. What we do, when is it up to you juniors to talk about? After Aoqing's voice, 2 other voices filled with supreme majesty sounded. It's Taishe Immortal King and Yuan Chu Immortal King. They know too. Pan Wang, Aoqing Immortal King, Taishe Immortal King, and Yuan Chu Immortal King, for ancestors have already been alerted. Above Pan Wang City, a group of celestial region cultivators recognized the owner of the voice. They all revealed shocked expressions as they looked into the depths of the celestial region. Do you think the celestial region is safe after destroying the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Won't it be invaded by the dark matter? What a joke! Ao Feng sneered. There was no fear on his face. Judging from his expression, it seemed like he had already disregarded life and death. I am the immortal king. Even if I am wrong, how can I allow you to be so rash? This king thinks that you are tired of living. These were Aoqing Immortal King's words. They were cold and emotionless. They came from the depths of the celestial region like the heavenly Tao, wanting to destroy all things, wanting to kill Ao Feng and Gani. His sound waves turned into laws. They were as dazzling as a rainbow, descending from the depths of the celestial region above Pan Wang City. Then, they avoided the unrelated cultivators and enveloped Ao Feng and Gani, wanting to destroy their bodies and souls. Ao Feng and Gani's aura surged. They shouted loudly, and their bodies shook as they resisted the sound wave laws. I didn't expect your cultivation to improve instead of retreating in the lower realms. No wonder you have the confidence to talk back to this king. But if you think that you have the right to provoke this king, then you are too stupid. In the depths of the celestial region, Aoqing spoke again. As a supreme immortal king, his magic power was boundless. He looked down on the ancient times. As soon as the cold and indifferent voice fell, there was a rumble. Then, a large sleeve fluttered and an arm stretched out from the depths of the immortal region. It instantly covered an immeasurably vast region of stars and directly grabbed towards where Ao Feng and Gani were. Lord Aoqing, are you going to kill us too? Looking at the giant hand that covered the sky, the cultivators above Pan Wang City were terrified. At this moment, all the cultivators were terrified to the extreme. Aoqing Immortal King made his move. He crossed more than half of the celestial region and grabbed at them. Wherever the giant hand passed, the stars in the sea of stars turned into powder one after another, soundlessly turning into dust. Even though their cultivation was powerful, in the eyes of an immortal king, they were just ants. It was too late for them to escape. They were imprisoned and could only watch as the giant hand grabbed at them. Aoqing, you've gone too far! At the critical moment, Pan Wang frowned and shouted angrily. Pan Wang, you've crossed the line. Primordial beginning Immortal King's voice sounded. He cut off Pan Wang's attack. Pan Wang has been blocked. Are we really going to be buried with him? The group of cultivators looked at Pan Wang's attack that was originally aimed at Aoqing Immortal King's giant hand but was cut off by Primordial beginning Immortal King. At this moment, Ouching Immortal King's giant hand had already descended, destroying all things. Kacha, Kacha! Under the terrifying impact, Ao Feng and Gani bore the brunt of the attack. The immortal Dao light armor around their bodies shattered. I don't want to die. The cultivators were alarmed, only fear left in their eyes. However, just as the giant hand was about to wipe out Ao Feng, Gani and the group of cultivators, with a wing sound, a sword radiance appeared. This sword radiance released golden light, blocking and repelling Ouching's giant hand, filling this land of death with vitality again. Who is it? Ouching withdrew his hand. Following that, a cold voice sounded, filled with anger and confusion. Immortal kings don't need a reason to kill, then wouldn't this one need even less reason to kill you all? A light and mocking voice drifted out. Then, another sword radiance appeared in the sky, passing through the sea of stars and rumbling towards the depths of the celestial domain. Along the way, starfields exploded one after another. In front of the sword radiance, the starry sky was annihilated, turning into nothingness. It was terrifying to the extreme. It actually blocked Ouching Immortal King's attack. Which Immortal King made a move this time? Looking at the terrifying sword radiance that rampaged through the starry sky, the cultivators above Pan King's city were stunned, their faces filled with disbelief. At the same time, they all looked around, their divine senses extended to the maximum, as if they were trying their best to find something. Ouching Immortal King was one of the overlords of the celestial domain. Even if he didn't use his full strength in that attack, it was definitely not something a quasi-immortal king could withstand. Because of this, they concluded that the person who attacked must also be an immortal king. However, in this celestial domain, the number of immortal kings could be counted on one hand. The voice from before was very unfamiliar to them. Even Pan King, who was fighting with primordial beginning immortal king, revealed a look of shock when he saw that terrifying sword radiance. Ao Feng, Gani, and the cultivators from the 9 heavens and 10 earths immediately looked at Chu Bei with strange looks in their eyes. Under the gazes of countless cultivators, the terrifying sword radiance landed in the endless stars in the depths of the celestial domain. Boom! With an earth-shattering explosion, the entire star domain shook as a terrifying destructive storm swept out. Under this energy storm, just a wisp of aura that spread out caused the cultivators in every corner of the celestial domain to tremble inexplicably. All the races were terrified and trembled in fear. It was different from the techniques they were familiar with. The aura that this sword radiated was extremely unfamiliar to them. It was a power they had never come into contact with before. This feeling was as if the cells, bones, and every part of his body were trembling at the same time, as if they were about to be torn apart at any moment. In the depths of the celestial domain, more and more divine rainbows flew out, leaving the stars they were on. All of them looked as if they were facing a great enemy, afraid that they would be affected by the destructive power of that sword radiance. In the end, the sword smashed down. In an instant, the depths of the celestial domain fell silent, as if it had fallen into a deathly silence. Countless stars almost instantly turned into nothingness. The cultivators who witnessed all of this took a deep breath. The cultivators who had fled from that area had lingering fear on their faces. That grand will and incomparable immortal Tao laws made it difficult for them to move even though they were far away. Their bodies almost exploded. The territories of Ouching Immortal King, Taishu Immortal King, and Yuan Chu Immortal King have been destroyed. Who exactly is the person who attacked? He actually offended 3 immortal kings at the same time. From the looks of it, this immortal king is very likely to have a close relationship with Ao Feng and Gani. The methods of an immortal king are truly terrifying. Looking at the stars in the depths of the celestial domain that had turned into nothingness, the cultivators could not calm down for a long time. So the greatest reliance of Ao Feng and Gani was you. This 4 corners 9 nether formation was also destroyed by you. The void barrier between the 9 heavens and 10 earths and the celestial domain should also be broken by you. All of this is your masterpiece. Suddenly, in the depths of the celestial domain that had turned into nothingness, 3 figures appeared. At the same time, 3 pairs of eyes pierced through the starry sky and landed on Chu Bei's body. Chapter 480. Could it be that the immortal king who attacked just now was him? How is that possible? Didn't he come from the 9 heavens 10 earths? After the battle of Immortal Ancient, the most powerful person in the 9 heavens 10 earths was only a supreme being. When did an immortal king appear? I even know about the immortal kings of the 9 heavens 10 earths. Why don't I remember such an existence? No wonder Ao Feng and Gani were so respectful to him before. Following the gazes of Aoqing, Taisher, and Yuan Chu, the gazes of the cultivators above Pan King's city also landed on Chu Bei. They sized him up again, their faces filled with shock, their words filled with shock. Chu Bei ignored the gazes of these cultivators. He glanced indifferently at the 3 figures in the depths of celestial domain and smiled. The void rumbled. Chu Bei took a step forward, a huge Taiji diagram appearing beneath his feet. The Taiji diagram was formed from the interweaving of primordial energy and all things source energy. The eye of the formation was a flower of the great Tao. At the center of the petals was a small person chanting scriptures, his mouth shooting out mysterious runes. These runes froze the void. Everything became silent, as if time and space had stopped. Before anyone could react, Chu Bei stepped on the Taiji diagram and appeared in the depths of celestial domain that had been blasted into nothingness by that finger. He faced Aoqing, Taisher, and Yuan Chu from afar. From the age of Emperor collapse? Aoqing narrowed his eyes, his voice cold. Chu Bei smiled and didn't reply, only calmly looking at Aoqing. No matter who you are, which epoch you were born in, daring to obstruct this king's actions today, you will definitely die. Aoqing's cold words spread through celestial domain. Chu Bei still didn't reply, only having a look of contempt. The immortal killing sword in his hand began to emit a dazzling golden light. 111. The sword moved slightly, releasing a soul-stirring sound. At this moment, Chu Bei held the sword, giving people the illusion that he didn't belong to this world, didn't belong to this era, but rather a creature that crossed over from the long river of time. I can't remember how many epochs it has been since someone dared to disregard me like this. Those humans, immortals, and kings who disobeyed this king are all dead. When he noticed the wisp of contempt in Chu Bei's eyes, Aoqing shouted with surging killing intent, causing the depths of the celestial domain to tremble violently as if it would explode at any moment. Aoqing was furious, being ignored by others. He was an overlord of immortal domain, rarely anyone daring to provoke him. Die! When the word cold in the forest sounded, an irregular scene appeared above Aoqing's head. Tens of thousands of great stars cracked apart and exploded. The scene was horrifying. This was the result of his natural laws. Boom! Aoqing coldly stared at Chu Bei. He directly raised his hand and attacked. The stars in his palm revolved, and the star domain was destroyed, releasing a heaven overflowing might. Endless stars floated up and down in Aoqing's palm, wanting to swallow Chu Bei and suppress him within, refining him alive. Merely a third heaven celestial king! Chu Bei's voice was very calm. Facing the endless stars that surged over, there wasn't the slightest ripple in his emotions. He brandished his sword again. A streak of sword light flew out, entering that huge palm, instantly causing the endless stars within to tremble. With a bang, the endless stars exploded at the same time, turning into fine powder. The star domain that was formed was also cut apart. The power of the stars dissipated. Aoqing frowned, but he didn't withdraw his attack. Instead, his palm continued to strike down. His physical body had long been cultivated to the extreme, and he could kill a half-immortal king with a raise of his hand. Even without the support of the power of the stars, he was confident that he could seriously injure Chu Bei with just his physical body. You are too conceited. Chu Bei's voice was calm. He stood where he was and didn't dodge at all, allowing that huge hand to land. However, just as the giant hand was about to land on Chu Bei's body, he raised his sword and met the giant hand head-on. Chi, chi, chi. In the next moment, Only sharp and ear-piercing sounds remained in this celestial domain, as if countless sharp swords were grinding against dark iron. Bang! Finally, amidst a boom, thousands of streaks of sword light pierced through that huge hand, rushing into the sky. Then, that huge hand exploded, becoming a bloody mess. At the point of collision, there was immortal king blood flowing out from the void, falling down, immortal light endless, auspicious multicolored light millions of times. Ouching immortal king actually bled. In the collision just now, ouching immortal king lost. How is this possible? Even among the immortal realm's immortal kings, ouching immortal king is a supreme existence at the front. That mysterious immortal king from the 9 heavens 10 earths is already powerful to this extent. The cultivators above Pan King's city looked at the battlefield in the depths of the celestial domain, staring at the immortal king blood essence that was as red as blood diamonds, all of them stupefied. As Chu Bei and Ouching's battle unfolded, powerful cultivators emerged from all over the celestial domain. At first, their faces were filled with confusion towards Chu Bei's origins, but when Ouching's palm exploded, there was only horror left on their faces. Compared to celestial domain's cultivators, the 9 heavens 10 earths Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, and the others were much calmer. It was because they had previously personally witnessed Chu Bei kill the foreign Anlin, Shichuo, and Wu Shan, 3 undying kings. Ah! This king is going to have you forever buried, unable to enter reincarnation. Ouching roared out. That bloody hand that exploded began to recombine and heal. Amidst his roar, his head of hair flew about, every single strand sparkling and resplendent, his eyes deep like a sea. At this moment, he seemed to have activated some type of unmatched secret method. His entire body's aura erupted once more, his hands forming magical imprints. This time, he directly appeared in front of Chu Bei, smashing his fists and feet down. Chu Bei still didn't move. Only when Ouching's fists and feet were about to land on his body did he smile inwardly. His left hand that didn't hold the sword clenched into a fist, smashing it towards Ouching. The two figures instantly interweaved, endless great Tao laws erupting, turning into a waterfall of lightning, rushing in all directions, as if a boundless battlefield was re-established. Low and heavy rumbling noises filled every corner of celestial domain, directly shaking everyone's hearts. However, this collision sound didn't continue for too long before it was covered by Ouching's roar of pain. Hong Long! Another loud explosion rang out, and the battlefield that had been opened up collapsed. Chu Bei stepped on the yin-yang diagram, right hand holding the immortal killing sword, walking out from the battlefield. Behind him, Ouching also flew out. However, the instant he appeared before everyone's eyes again, a metallic keng-chang noise sounded. A streak of golden sword radiance swept past his neck. Immediately afterwards, Ouching Immortal King staggered backwards. He clutched his neck, his pupils rapidly contracting. That streak of golden sword radiance was brilliant like a heavenly sun, removing his head. Ouching Immortal King's head was removed! Witnessing this scene, the entire celestial domain was in an uproar. If it was said that Ouching's hand was injured before, they could still accept it. But now, they really didn't dare to believe it. It was too shocking. Just how serious and terrifying was this scene? In the blink of an eye, all the cultivators in celestial domain's eyes were focused on Chu Bei. Their mouths were wide open, their eyes filled with shock. Chapter 481. In the depths of the celestial realm, Chu Bei swung his sword and separated Ouching's head from his body. However, Ouching was an immortal king after all. He immediately returned his head to its original position and then used a secret technique to attach it to his neck. After this experience, Ouching did not immediately attack again. Instead, he stared at Chu Bei with incomparable vigilance, and there was even some fear in his eyes. After a long while, Ouching looked at Yuan Chu and Taisher. Yuan Chu and Taisher looked at each other and nodded at the same time, as if they had made a unanimous decision. The next moment, boom! In the starry sky, a fist carrying resplendent immortal light, as crystalline as jade, and as brilliant as the morning glow, smashed towards Chu Bei's head. This was Taisha Immortal King's attack. Bang! A large foot followed closely behind, instantly appearing above Chu Bei and stomping down fiercely, ostentatious and domineering. This was Yuan Chu Immortal King's attack. Ever since they saw Ouching's head being cut off by Chu Bei, Taisha and Yuan Chu's gazes became sharp. In the celestial realm, they could be said to be a three-man gang, and their opinions on everything were the same. In terms of individual strength, they were slightly inferior to Pan Wang, but when the three of them worked together, even Pan Wang could only endure. Therefore, when they sensed Ouching's pleading gaze, they immediately attacked. Ouching roared. He also attacked. He opened his mouth and spat out a river of stars, which transformed into a sword embryo. Like a dancing true dragon, it slashed towards Chu Bei. Even if the three of you attack together, it's still far from enough. Chu Bei was expressionless, and his emotions did not change from beginning to end. It was as if in his eyes, whether it was Ouching alone or the three of them, there was no difference. As his calm voice fell, the frequency of Chu Bei's sword swinging increased. The wisps of golden sword light began to condense, as if they had become corporeal, stirring up the starry sky. Rumble! Chu Bei stepped on the starry sky, holding the immortal slaying sword in his hand, and charged forward. Amidst the soul-shaking rumbles, four divine rainbows interweaved in the depths of the celestial realm. The strength of that mysterious immortal king is too terrifying. He actually forced Ouching Immortal King, Taisha Immortal King, and Yuan Chu Immortal King to join forces. The most terrifying thing is that it is not the slightest bit weaker than the three great immortal kings joining forces. No matter what the outcome of this battle is, this mysterious immortal king will be recorded as a major event in the immortal realm. Perhaps even after millions of years, it will still be talked about by the world. Since ancient times, no one has ever been able to face three celestial kings alone. Countless cultivators from the immortal region stared blankly at the distant battlefield. Their pupils constricted, their throats quivered, and their faces were filled with shock. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Sure Hao, Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang and the others' expressions were grave. Even though they had incomparable confidence in Chu Bei's strength, right now, the other party was facing three immortal domain immortal kings at the same time. They couldn't help but feel worried. Pan King, if that lord loses, please help us. Ao, Feng and Gani looked at Pan King and offered their help with cupped fists. Pan Wang nodded. When that time comes, I will make a move. Clang! A metal ringing sound sounded from the battlefield. Then, one of the four interweaving divine rainbows flew out. This was Ouching Immortal King. Right when everyone thought that he would quickly join the battlefield, his body exploded, turning into a pile of flesh. The flesh Ouching turned into seemed to have a wave of mysterious power, preventing his body from healing. Hong Long! Another muffled noise sounded. A second divine rainbow flew out. This was Yuan Chu Immortal King. He was hacked by the immortal killing sword. Before he could even release a miserable cry, his soul and body already broke apart. He was the same as Ouching, not dying either. He was doing everything he could to recover, but it was incomparably slow. Damn it! In the intense battlefield, only Taisha Immortal King with the greatest cultivation was left. Ever since Ouching and Taichu were blasted out of the battlefield one after another, the pressure on him multiplied, continuously backing up in defeat. Ah! Taisha Immortal King roared out. He ignited his source essence blood, displaying an unmatched secret method. Natural laws, order, great Tao, all of them rumbled together, slaughtering his way towards Chu Bei. It was dazzling to the extreme. Unfortunately, it was useless. On the battlefield, Chu Bei swung his sword again. The dazzling sword light instantly landed on Taisha Immortal King's chest. Pooh! Taisha Immortal King coughed out blood. He was sent flying. His entire body was covered in cracks, suffering heavy injuries. But before he could recover, Chu Bei appeared in front of him, stabbing out with an even more terrifying sword. With a swish, Taisher Immortal King's soul and body also exploded, floating in the starry sky, releasing a resplendent light. He won! Looking at the scene on the battlefield, the spectating Immortal Region cultivators recovered from their daze. They looked at each other, speechless. This ending was too shocking for them. It caught them off guard. That mysterious Immortal King of unknown origin not only blocked the attacks of Yuan Chu, Aoqing, and Taisher, but also seriously injured them. What kind of terrifying combat strength was this? Master 1! I never expected Senior to already be powerful to this extent. While looking at the 3 piles of flesh on the battlefield, Shi Hao, Meng Tianjing, and Immortal Wang stared blankly for a moment. Then, they revealed looks of joy, their expressions moved. Now, it seems like there's no need for my help at all. Pan King muttered to himself. From his expression, he was also shocked by this result. He was shocked not only because Chu Bei defeated the 3 Immortal Kings, but even more so because he actually suppressed 3 Immortal Kings without being injured in the slightest. You previously said that Immortal Kings don't need a reason to kill, so this one will start with you. Chu Bei's eyes landed on Aoqing's pile of flesh. Then, that voice that didn't carry the slightest bit of emotion shook the starry sky, spreading through Immortal Domain. The vigorous voice carried terrifying might, shocking all of Immortal Domain's cultivators. Their bodies began to tremble inexplicably. When his voice fell, Chu Bei pointed the immortal killing sword at Aoqing. Ripples surged from the tip of the sword, a golden disc appearing from the ripples. Collect! An indifferent syllable sounded from Chu Bei's mouth. Immediately afterwards, unmatched divine chains of order surged from the golden disc. Chi chi chi! Under the eyes of millions and millions of cultivators, Aoqing's exploded flesh that hadn't been reassembled yet was dragged into the disc by the divine chains of order. Then, a type of strange grinding noise sounded from every corner of Immortal Domain, as if it was a type of chewing sound. Ah! Let me out! What exactly are you trying to do to me? In that instant, Aoqing's miserable screams of pain sounded from within the giant golden bowl, his voice carrying fear, as if he was currently suffering an irresistible torment. This was pain not even an Immortal King could endure. Millions and millions of cultivators sucked in a cold breath of air, looking at the disc in front of the golden longsword in Chu Bei's hands in fear, all of them shivering. The disc was shining, especially at the center of the disc, even more so surging with 9-colored immortal radiance. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, with the passage of time, Aoqing's shrill cries disappeared, and along with them, the soul-stirring chewing sounds disappeared. This situation is the same as when Enlin and Shuchuo were killed. Their souls and bodies were all used to feed that disc. Looking at this familiar scene, Meng Tianjing, Wang Chanxing, Zhao Haotian, and the others looked at each other in shock. Lord Aoqing's voice disappeared. Is he dead? Could this disc be of the same level as the sword in his hand? Are they both the Dharma treasures of that mysterious Immortal King? Why did I see a mouth in that disc just now? Was it my imagination? The millions and millions of cultivators in Immortal Domain were in a daze, their voices trembling with fear. Just now, they had personally witnessed the withering of an Immortal King, a true death. It's your turn. After dealing with Aoqing, Chu Bei looked at Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu. No. Looking at the approaching Chu Bei, the 2 piles of flesh and blood that Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu had transformed into released a blinding light, and their fearful voices drifted through the starry sky. Fellow Taoist, the era of darkness has descended. You can't kill anymore. Just as Chu Bei was about to attack again, an ethereal voice came from the depths of the Immortal Domain, and then 6 figures appeared. Rumble! The next moment, the Immortal Domain rumbled, and all kinds of great Tao runes flickered. In the depths, 6 supreme figures crossed the starry sky, their auras majestic. Inadvertently, the pressure he exuded was suffocating, almost suffocating to the point of suffocation. In the blink of an eye, 6 terrifying beings arrived in the sky above Panwang City, bringing with them terrifying fluctuations. Even you guys have come out of seclusion! Recognizing the origins of the six beings, Pan Wang and the group of perfected immortals were shocked. These six beings were all immortal kings from different ancient lands in the immortal domain. In terms of seniority, they were born several eras earlier than Genesis Supreme and Yuan Shu. They could be said to be overlords of the immortal domain. Are they here for ouching? Meng Tianjing, Wang Changxing, Zhao Haotian, and the others frowned. Immortal King Hong Tian, we beg you to save us! Genesis Supreme and Yuan Shu seemed to have found a life-saving straw. They immediately pleaded to the oldest white-haired elder among the six. Fellow immortal, you have a grudge with Ouching. You have already killed him. Genesis Supreme and Yuan Shu are only helping you. Let it go. The white-haired elder glanced at the two piles of minced meat and sighed at Chu Bei. Hearing the white-haired elder's words, Ao Feng and Gan Yi, the two quasi-immortal kings, frowned, their expressions extremely ugly. Although this was the first time they had seen the six giants of the immortal domain, they had long heard of their names. Even the weakest among them was probably stronger than Pan Wang. Not to mention that they have already attacked me, just the fact that they want to refine the 9 heavens and 10 earths is enough for them to die tens of thousands of times. Chu Bei calmly looked at the 6 giants of the immortal domain, not affected by their pressure at all. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the white-haired elder didn't reply. Instead, he tilted his head and looked at the 5 people beside him, communicating with their eyes. Before long, the positions of the 6 great immortal kings changed, and they formed a circle around Chu Bei. They were all wrapped in primal chaos, each guarding an area as they coldly stared at Chu Bei. What are the 6 ancestors doing? Could it be that they are also going to attack this mysterious immortal king? From our perspective, this mysterious immortal king wants to kill Lord Yuan Shu and Lord Genesis Supreme of the immortal domain. He should be our enemy. But the 6 ancestors don't have to attack together, right? To be honest, I feel that this mysterious immortal king's actions are not wrong. After all, he is doing this for the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This time, Ouching and Lord Yuanshu's actions are really too extreme. Seeing the white-haired elder and the other 5 surround Chu Bei, the expressions of the true immortals and even pseudo-celestial kings of the celestial realm changed drastically. Perhaps an even more terrifying battle was about to take place. It was also at this moment that the cultivators above Pan King's city swiftly left, as if they were afraid of being affected by the terrifying battle that could possibly take place in the next moment. Fellow immortal, are you really so stubborn? The white-haired elder asked Chu Bei again, a cold glint in his eyes. His eyes were wrapped in primal chaos. Their ending was already decided from the moment I made my move. Chu Bei's expression was indifferent, as if he was saying a very ordinary sentence, completely unaffected. It is not easy to cultivate to become a celestial king. Ouching has already withered, and if they follow the same path, that would be too much of a pity. Fellow immortal, you should be merciful. Another celestial king said. Chu Bei smiled as he looked at the 6 big shots of the celestial realm. In terms of cultivation level, these 6 people were indeed stronger than Pan King. But even the strongest, the white-haired elder, was only at the peak stage of the 7th heaven celestial king tier. Fellow immortal, don't be stubborn. The era of darkness is about to arrive, and we need them to hold down the fort. You should look at the big picture, the white-haired elder said again. Chu Bei no longer paid any attention to the 6 big shots of the celestial realm. Instead, he focused his eyes on the pile of flesh that Tai Shi and Yuan Shu had turned into. Meeting Chu Bei's gaze, the white-haired elder frowned. As the white-haired elder gave a cold humph, there was a heaven-shaking boom. A terrifying Dharma idol appeared behind him, pressing down on Chu Bei. At the same time, the Dharma idols of the other 5 celestial king tier big shots also appeared, pressing down on Chu Bei together. At this moment, the 6 Dharma idols intertwined, the celestial phenomenon astonishing. Endless stars rotated, rivers of stars surged and flowed, star regions evolved, petals of the great Tao fell, and a beautiful and pure land appeared. Instantly, this galaxy, space, time, everything became still, leaving only a deathly silence. Chapter 482. That mysterious immortal king is surrounded! Under the gazes of countless cultivators, Chu Bei was surrounded by the 6 intertwined Dharma idols, as if he was in an isolated void. Boom! The 6 immortal kings, led by the white-haired old man, poured their divine consciousness into the intertwined Dharma idols at the same time. With a loud bang, a mysterious giant net was formed, as if to imprison Chu Bei. Chu Bei glanced around indifferently, his expression unchanged. The immortal extermination sword in his hand trembled, and tens of thousands of sword rays fused together, easily blocking the mysterious giant net. Looking at the sword light that carried a terrifying aura, a hint of surprise flashed in the eyes of the white-haired old man and the other immortal kings. However, before they could react, the golden longsword left Chu Bei's hand. The golden longsword seemed to have a mind of its own. It waved on its own, and dense sword rays enveloped the battlefield. These sword rays swept out and instantly cut the huge net in half. Buzz, buzz, buzz! The immortal extermination sword seemed to have been provoked by the 6 Dharma idols. The hilt, blade, and blade projected a strange light at the same time, gathering together to form a long rainbow that swept in 6 directions. Boom, boom, boom! Wherever the rainbow passed, 6 muffled explosions sounded one after another. In a flash, the 6 Dharma idols collapsed. Poochie! In the next moment, the 6 immortal kings, led by the white-haired old man, turned pale. Their bodies trembled violently, and they spat out blood as they staggered. Stumbling back a few steps, the 6 immortal kings stopped. When they looked at Chu Bei again, their eyes were filled with deep fear. Lord Hong Tian and the others are injured. The 6 immortal kings who have existed since time immemorial still suffered a loss at the hands of that mysterious immortal king. Where did this mysterious immortal king come from? Is he in existence before the age of Emperor collapse? Witnessing the scene on the battlefield, all the immortals in the immortal region were stunned. It was precisely because they knew the unparalleled deeds of the white-haired old man and the other immortal kings that they revealed expressions of horror and disbelief when they saw that they were defeated by Chu Bei even after joining forces. Pan Wang was also stunned. His gaze when he looked at Chu Bei again became even more stunned. The 6 great immortal king techniques had all collapsed at the same time. This also meant that in a real battle, this mysterious immortal king of unknown origins also had the strength to truly kill the 6 great immortal kings. Master, he's probably already at the peak of the immortal king realm. Ao Feng and Gani looked at each other. The defeat of the 6 great immortal kings meant that the strength of this mysterious immortal king was undoubtedly the strongest in the immortal region. Rumble! Chu Bei put his hands behind his back and walked past the white-haired old man and the other immortal kings, heading towards Taisher and Yuan Chu. Lord Hong Tian, Lord Shumi, the age of darkness is coming. We can still kill the enemy. Save us! As Chu Bei got closer and closer, Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu's flesh and blood cried out in fear. The 6 immortal kings looked at each other, but none of them made a move. Apart from the seriousness and fear on their faces, there was also a sense of helplessness. Go accompany Ouching! As Chu Bei's indifferent voice fell, the golden disc appeared and spewed out a terrifying suction force, instantly sucking Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu in. A similar scene played out again. Amidst the heart-palpitating chewing sounds were Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu's shrill cries until the sound faded away. Immortal King Taisher and Immortal King Yuan Chu are also dead. Our immortal region has lost 3 immortal kings. If the Age of Darkness comes, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape this calamity. Looking at the dazzling golden disk, the immortal region's experts were at a loss. Fellow immortal, you're too agitated. The 6 great immortal kings sighed faintly. If possible, they really wanted to save Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu. Even though the other party wanted to refine the 9 heavens and 10 lands, they were still supreme immortal kings. When the Age of Darkness descended, they played a crucial role. Unfortunately, there was a mysterious immortal king in the 9 heavens and 10 lands that even they could do nothing about. They were no match for him, so they could only watch as Genesis Supreme and Yuan Chu were killed. I killed 3 of your immortal kings. Now I'll return the 2 of you. Chu Bei glanced at the 6 immortal kings, then turned around and said, Ao Feng, Gani, come here. Sir, what are your orders? Ao Feng and Gani immediately bowed to Chu Bei. Their attitude was much more respectful than when they were facing Pan Wang. Ever since this mysterious immortal king brought them back to the immortal region, they had already acknowledged him from the bottom of their hearts. In the previous battle, the immortal region was unfair to you. I'll give you a fortuitous opportunity to return the pain of missing your family for 1,000,000 years. As his calm voice fell, Chu Bei flicked his finger. 2 balls of mist flew out from the golden disk and landed on Ao Feng and Gani. This is the immortal king's essence. Sensing the aura contained within the 2 balls of mist, Ao Feng and Gani were first stunned. Then, their bodies suddenly trembled, and they were extremely excited. Refine it, Chu Bei said calmly. Thank you, sir. Looking at the immortal king's essence in front of them, Ao Feng and Gani were so excited that their voices trembled. They had been stuck at the half-immortal king realm for countless years. They were only 1 step away from the immortal king realm. However, this step had been impossible for them for millions of years. In their opinion, this ball of quintessence of an immortal king was a gift to them, and it was already far capable of making up for the pain of missing home they'd experienced in the lower dimensions for 1,000,000 years. With the immortal king's essence in hand, they were confident that they could truly step into the immortal king realm. After calming themselves down, Ao Feng and Gani took a deep breath and started absorbing the immortal king's essence. As time passed, Ao Feng and Gani's aura became more and more terrifying. The avatars behind them started to show a terrifying phenomenon. Countless stars could be seen flowing within, forming a star field. Rumble! 2 explosions sounded at almost the same time. The immortal region shook. After successfully breaking through, Ao Feng and Gani hurriedly retracted their auras. Otherwise, this area would probably turn into ruins under their violent auras. Congratulations! Pan Wang immediately went up and said with a smile. We will never forget your Excellency's kindness. This time, Ao Feng and Gani directly knelt in front of Chu Bei. Rise! If one day you dare to do something similar to what Ao Qing and the others did, I will also kill you. Chu Bei waved his hand and lifted Ao Feng and Gani. His deep voice was filled with supreme authority. What did he do? What's going on with those 2 balls of mist? He actually made Ao Feng and Gani become immortal kings. That's an immortal king's essence. It's formed from the essence of an immortal king's entire body. It condenses all of the immortal king's understanding of the Tao. Ordinary half-immortal kings can immediately become immortal kings. In that case, can immortal kings really be created? No. An immortal king's essence is extremely rare. Only immortal kings will consider whether to form their essence before they die. However, it's almost impossible for immortal kings to meet someone who's about to die. The peak true immortals and half-immortal kings stared blankly at Ao Feng and Gani, who had already become immortal kings. Their faces were filled with envy. The 6 immortal kings, including the white-haired old man, were also shocked. They never would have thought that this mysterious immortal king in front of them would actually have the essence of the immortal kings they killed. How heaven-defying was this? At the immortal king realm, almost all of them acted independently. It was very rare for them to form an alliance like Ao Feng, Taisher, and Yuan Chu. But now, this mysterious person in front of them could create immortal kings. As long as he wanted to, he could completely kill other immortal kings and create an immortal king army that belonged to him. Thinking of this, the 6 immortal kings looked up at the golden disk and couldn't help but gasp. Now I have returned 2 immortal kings to you. When darkness descends, if you still don't have enough people, I will also take action. Now, do you have anything to worry about? Chu Bei's gaze swept across the 6 immortal kings as he spoke calmly. Hearing this, the 6 immortal kings looked at each other, then cupped their fists at Chu Bei at the same time. Their figures gradually faded and disappeared from everyone's sight. In the so-called age of Emperor Collapse, The 9 heavens and 10 earths and the immortal region were originally one. Now, they should be together again. Not long after the 6 immortal kings left, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded in every corner of the immortal region. In the next moment, the immortal slang sword in his hand crossed the distant sky. Amidst the buzzing sound, endless sword light shot down, sprinkling the earth and stars of the immortal region. Rumble! Amidst the soul-stirring sound, the barrier between the immortal region and the 9 heavens and 10 earths was completely broken, and the 2 worlds began to merge. What happened? What dense spirit chi? Haha, I broke through the bottleneck. Great, this is really great. Look at the sky, what is that? Our world is merging with them. The immortal region. That's the immortal region. After a long while, the 9 heavens and 10 earths were in an uproar, and some of the veteran supremes even cried out in surprise. Is this the lower realm? The spirit chi is indeed very scarce. I didn't expect that in such an environment, they would actually give birth to supremes. The cultivators of the immortal region watched in shock as the 9 heavens and 10 earths gradually merged, their eyes filled with astonishment. After the 2 worlds completely merged, Meng Tianjing, Wang Changxing, Zhao Haotian, and the other supremes of the 9 heavens and 10 earths began to increase their auras, entering the perfected immortal realm. Chapter 483. Host has successfully merged with Celestial Realm and 9 heavens 10 earths. Mission completed. Mission 3. Host pacifies the era of darkness. During the mission, Host can use level 20 goods once. Just as Chu Bei was looking at the merged Celestial Realm and 9 heavens 10 earths in satisfaction, the system's voice sounded in his head. Level 20. Coming back to his senses, Chu Bei muttered to himself, the corners of his lips unconsciously rising. Now, the level 19 most powerful killing sword, Celestial Killing Sword, was already equivalent to peak stage 9th Heaven Celestial King tier strength. This level 20, didn't that mean above Celestial King tier? A while later, after Chu Bei calmed his restless heart, his eyes landed on Shi Hao. Disciple, Master will also gift you a piece of natural luck. As his voice fell, Chu Bei waved his sleeve, and brilliant light surrounded them. Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, Ao Feng, Gan Yi, and the others were all within. Hong Long! A shocking sound rang out. Chu Bei and the others disappeared from the starry sky. As they advanced, they continuously passed through many seas of stars, passing through expanse after expanse of starry sky, the journey endless. After passing through the starry sky one after another, Chu Bei and the others finally arrived at a desolate starry sky, descending on an ancient and withered star. This star was extremely strange. It was wrapped in thick celestial energy, but no life aura could be sensed from it, a deathly stillness. Could this be heaven-reaching land? Ao Feng and Gan Yi seemed to have recognized this place, and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Heaven-reaching land? Meng Tianjing looked confused. In the records, Celestial Realm has a mysterious place called Heaven-reaching land. Among celestial kings, there is a legend that this place can connect past and present, experiencing endless time. There are also some who say that one can see the future. Hong Tian, Pan Wang, Taisher, Yuan Chu, and other celestial kings have all come here before. However, none of them could enter. It is rumored that the flow of time here, compared to the outside world, is even more eternal. From what I know, there was a true immortal in the age of Emperor Collapse who entered this heaven-reaching land by chance. He dreamt of 3 lifetimes, and when he came out, his cultivation level soared to the immortal king realm. Ao Feng told him everything he knew. There is actually such a mysterious place. When they heard this, Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, and the others were incredibly shocked. However, if you want to enter this place, everything depends on your luck. Otherwise, Hong Tian, Pan Wang, and the others wouldn't have been unable to enter, Gan Yi added. At that moment, Chu Bei's left and right hands were already on the surface of the planet. Then, he let out a deep growl. Accompanied by a buzzing sound, a crack was forcibly torn open in the dead star. This. Looking at this scene, Ao Feng and Gani looked at each other, speechless for a moment. Just a second ago, they were still saying that no matter how strong one was, one would not be able to break through if one did not have the opportunity. But in the next second, they were mercilessly slapped in the face. This is the land of heaven reaching, also known as the land of fortune. Chu Bei looked towards Shihao. Follow your master inside. What kind of natural luck you obtain will depend on yourself. After saying this, Chu Bei took the lead to enter the crack filled with primal chaos immortal energy. Shihao, Meng Tianjing, and the others followed closely behind. After entering the crack, there was a great path formed from interweaving immortal light. At the end of the path was a stone room. Honglonglong. Before they even approached the stone room, the space here began to tremble intensely, continuously swaying. Master, it seems to be summoning me. Shihao revealed a look of shock. He pointed at the stone room in front of him, his body gradually becoming faint. At this time, Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, and the others heard mysterious scripture sounds, resonating with the stone room, as if they were heavenly sounds. Go and search for your opportunity. Chu Bei nodded slightly. Hong! Immediately afterwards, Shihao's figure disappeared from this place. That is... Almost at the same time, Ao Feng, Gani, and the others widened their eyes, their faces full of disbelief as they stared at the stone room. They only saw that Shihao was already standing in the stone room. An indistinct figure that was similar to him could vaguely be seen standing in front of him. That indistinct figure seemed to be telling Shihao about his past and present lives, but also seemed to be imparting an unmatched Tao method to him. Senior Shihao, he... Meng Tianjing looked towards Chu Bei. This is his natural luck, how much he can obtain will depend on himself. Chu Bei said indifferently. Gradually, irregular scenes appeared in the stone room. Primal chaos light shone, immortal mist becoming thick, starting to become hazy. Right now, Shihao in the stone room seemed to have become a wooden person, his body not moving at all. However, his eyes flowed with resplendent radiance. Upon closer inspection, there was actually the birth and destruction of the universe within his eyes, the great river of time surging, extremely horrifying. It was as if he was currently experiencing something, sometimes frowning, sometimes relaxing, sometimes in shock, sometimes in fear. Embodiment transformation, embodiment transformation, embodiment transformation, all of this is in preparation for me, or perhaps it is all for naught. The day will come when I will return. Soon afterwards, Shihao's lips moved, unexpectedly releasing a voice that made one's blood run cold. Inside the city, the expressions of the experts who first discovered the roiling black mist changed greatly. While sucking in cold air, they screamed out in horror. It was different from the invasion of darkness in the 9 heavens 10 earths. Right now, the cultivators in this star domain were mostly supreme beings and even true immortal experts. Even if they were infected by the black mist, they still weren't affected too much. Only, within this roiling black mist, pairs of green eyes began to appear one after another. These were powerful darkness creatures. Zhi. Amidst the soul-stirring screeches, these creatures of darkness lunged at the experts of this star field. Chapter 484. Lord Yulan is here! A cultivator exclaimed. A graceful woman in purple appeared. She was a female subimmortal king. After frowning, she clenched her fist and punched at the huge gap. Outside the gap, a disdainful snort sounded. Then, the pitch-black hand met her attack. With a loud bang, the purple-clothed woman's arm exploded, and she was sent flying while coughing blood. The pitch-black hand continued its pursuit. Just as it was about to land on the purple-clothed woman's body, an arrow flew over. With a pop, it shot into the hand. The blood that splashed out was all black. It was extremely terrifying, and the blood was like a tidal wave. Compared to the black hand, the blood was just a wisp of blood. However, in this star field, it was a black torrent. Miserable and painful screams came from outside the gap. The dark creatures in the black fog were all destroyed at this moment. Accompanied by a low roar of unwillingness, the pitch-black hand retreated. Lord Hongtian is here! Oh my God! Lord Yulan was actually injured just now. Could it be that the dark creature in that hand is an immortal king? That's for sure. If Lord Hongtian hadn't arrived in time, Lord Yulan would have been in danger. The group of experts was astonished. Thank you for saving me, Lord. The purple-clothed woman's injuries healed. She looked at the white-haired old man who appeared in front of her with incomparable respect. The era of darkness has come. Chaos is about to rise. The white-haired old man sighed faintly and began to repair the torn gap in the round wall. This white-haired old man was one of the 6 immortal kings who wanted to protect Taishu and Yuanchu from Chu Bei, Hongtian. On the other side, Pan King City. Qi. Amidst the rumbling, a scarlet spear pierced through the round wall. It was boundlessly thick and was tens of thousands of miles long. It erupted with boundless killing light and a murderous aura. This was a creature of darkness. Its body was also surrounded by endless rolling black fog. Looking at it carefully, it was as majestic as a demonic mountain, unapproachable. At this moment, he gripped his battle spear tightly. The tip of the spear pointed straight at the enormous Pan King city. Pan King flew out, not even saying anything, directly exchanging blows just like that, as if they knew each other from many great eras ago. Rumble. As the peerless battle between immortal kings unfolded, more and more cultivators were alarmed. Why is Pan Wang City fighting again? Could it be that some idiot has offended that mysterious immortal king from the 9 heavens 10 earths? No! It was a creature of darkness. He's fighting Pan Wang. Why are you here so early? The expressions of the cultivators watching the battle changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with fear. On the battlefield, the darkness creature's spear continuously hacked out, while a great golden imprint flew out from Pan King's hand, covering heaven and earth, erupting with a world-shocking aura, slaughtering all living things. Bang! Amidst the sound of collision, the golden seal sent the battle spear flying and landed on the body of the demon godlike creature of darkness. After a long roar of pain, the creature of darkness' entire body cracked apart. He spat out blood, many parts of his body exploding. Pan King, this time, you all won't be able to stop me! The creature of darkness roared with laughter. He no longer tangled with them, withdrawing. While looking at the creature of darkness who disappeared, Pan King's brows furrowed tightly, his expression incredibly grave. To the north of Immortal Domain, within a mysterious deathly still star, a shout shook up the starry domain. Above Sherhao's head, a 9-colored river surged downwards. Upon closer inspection, these rivers looked as if they were formed from the mixture of countless star domains. This was Immortal King Tribulation, a type of Immortal King Tribulation that had never been recorded before. Hong! Sherhao rushed into the heavens. The moment he made contact with the 9-colored river, he suddenly fell down, his body cracking apart, blood gushing out from his mouth. The 9-colored river seemed to have been angered, actually turning into a 9-colored blade, its aura becoming more and more terrifying. However, when the 9-colored blade was about to hack apart Sherhao's soul, a massive fist imprint appeared out of nowhere, directly blasting it to pieces. This was Chu Bei's attack. Master, this disciple failed again. Sherhao looked towards Chu Bei, his face full of helplessness. This was already the 17th time he experienced Immortal King Tribulation, yet he didn't receive it a single time. If not for Chu Bei taking action, he would have already gone through it 17 times. The Immortal King Tribulation you experienced is a bit special, it cannot be rushed. The moment Chu Bei finished speaking, a wave of berserk aura fluctuations seeped in, carrying strong killing intent. Senior, this aura. Ao Feng frowned. Even though this aura was unfamiliar to him, it still made his heart tremble. It was clear that the one who released this aura was definitely an Immortal King level existence. Chu Bei didn't reply, only waving his hand, bringing this group of people with him, disappearing from this mysterious place. That's the foreign great army! They actually fought their way into immortal domain! Their actions, are they going to completely declare war without any regard for the consequences? While looking forward, Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, Ao Feng and the others' pupils suddenly contracted. The creatures of darkness descended, the foreign great army also erupting at this time. How could there be such a coincidence? Could it be that the rumors are true? The foreign Shuchuo Immortal King evolved from the creatures of darkness. They have an inseparable relationship with the creatures of darkness. Damn it! We definitely cannot let them break through this place. We must protect immortal domain with our lives. In this sea of stars, more and more supreme beings and true immortals gathered, all of them seriously waiting for the great army that emerged from the gap. Kill. Defend until Immortal King Great One arrives. A half-immortal king led the group. When his shout sounded, he took the lead in slaughtering his way into the foreign great army. Hong Long Long! In the blink of an eye, a terrifying great chaotic battle erupted in this sea of stars. Pun! Right when the intense battle reached its climax, a great roar sounded from the torn realm wall. Then, a terrifying ancient beast appeared, but it quickly turned into a large man. His head of scarlet-red long hair scattered down, eyes terrifyingly sharp. This was an undying king of the foreign side, primal chaos swirling about, great Tao aura oppressing the heavens. He stood here, as if he could suppress the heavens for all eternity. Scarlet King! Not good. It's Scarlet King! Hurry and retreat. Immortal Domain's half-immortal king immediately recognized that large man. His expression suddenly changed, carrying fear. Where is Hong Tian? The crimson-haired large man gave Immortal Domain's half-immortal king an indifferent look. When his cold voice sounded, he directly slapped down with a large hand. Hong Long Long! The crimson-haired large man possessed terrifying exuberant blood energy. With just a single palm, this entire starry sky seemed to have become still. I can't move. In that instant, the expressions of Immortal Domain's cultivators trembled, revealing expressions of alarm. However, when they saw that terrifying giant hand carrying unmatched might about to slap them into nothingness, a golden longsword appeared out of thin air, blasting that giant hand apart. It's you! This king was just thinking about looking for you after dealing with Immortal Domain. The crimson-haired large man was first stunned, and then when he saw who it was, killing intent surged in his eyes. 1,000 years ago, the other party killed Anlin and Shuchuo. 2 days ago, the other party killed Wu Shang. The person before him had long entered the foreign side's list of people they had to kill. When the Immortal Domain cultivators saw Chu Bei, they were first stunned, and then after a momentary absent-mindedness, they revealed expressions of joy. It's that mysterious immortal king of unknown origins. Mysterious immortal king? Explain yourself. It's that existence who killed Daoqing, Yuanchu, and Taisha Great Ones, moreover forced back Hong Tian's 6 Great Ones. What? So it was him. It was him who broke through the barrier between Immortal Domain and the 9 heavens 10 earths. There were some cultivators who didn't recognize Chu Bei. When they heard others speak about Chu Bei, their faces immediately revealed expressions of shock. If it really is that mysterious immortal king, then the danger before us should be resolved. Immortal Domain's true immortals and the half-immortal king in the lead exchanged a look, their brows relaxing. Back then, this one also said that if I saw you again, I would definitely cut you down. Chu Bei looked at Scarlet King. When his calm voice sounded, he directly brandished his sword. Arrogant! Scarlet King roared out angrily, the formless aura becoming even more terrifying. He clenched his fist, facing Chu Bei. At this time, regardless of whether it was the foreign great army or Immortal Domain cultivators, they immediately moved far away out of fear of being affected by the battle's shockwaves. However, in reality, ever since Chu Bei brandished his sword, he already opened up a new space to serve as a battlefield. After all, The effects of a battle of their level really were too great. Hong long long, amidst rumbling sounds, Scarlet King appeared in the starry sky. Chu Bei opened up. His head of long red hair was like fiery light, dancing about there, releasing dazzling symbols, his aura oppressive. In that instant, his magical body erupted, stars even revolving around his body. Because he knew Chu Bei's strength, he directly displayed his most powerful state right from the start. A new epoch has already arrived. No matter how you all resist, it will only be futile. Scarlet King seemed to know something, his sharp eyes looking indifferently at Chu Bei like lightning. As his words fell, he moved again. A blood-red furnace flew out from his palm, flowing with dazzling light, spewing out endless great Tao flames, burning the starry sky. In fact, one could even vaguely see layers of strange phenomena in these flames. That was the realm sea. Inside, there were currently countless terrifying creatures wrapped in darkness, crossing the sea together in one direction. What was even more terrifying was that in the instant Scarlet King moved, the long river of time actually appeared around his body, fragments of time curling about. Scarlet King, an immortal king powerhouse with an innate talent of time. You can let this lord fight to his heart's content. A hint of a smile curled up the corners of Chu Bei's lips, fighting spirit rising in his eyes for the first time. Judging from his aura, this Scarlet King's strength had already reached the 8th heaven celestial king tier, and was only a step away from the 9th heaven. For this, Chu Bei did not underestimate his opponent, holding the celestial slaying sword, facing him seriously. At their cultivation level, there was no gaudy battle of 3,000 moves, but directly used the strongest ultimate techniques, deciding life and death in an instant. Chu Bei brandished his sword, striking Scarlet King cleanly. Dang! Scarlet King held the crimson furnace, strolling on the long river of time. Fragments of time danced, endlessly terrifying, striking out endless flames of great Tao symbols. In the instant they clashed, the starry sky caved in, brilliant celestial Tao light wrapping around them. Scarlet King has broken through. Most likely, even if Hong Tian comes, he is no longer his match. Looking at the supreme battle in that open starry sky, Ao Feng and Gani both sucked in a cold breath. Thankfully, there was this mysterious lord here, or else the celestial realm would definitely welcome a terrifying disaster. It has been like this since time immemorial. On the battlefield, Scarlet King shouted loudly, using secret techniques of time. He slit his wrist, and dazzling blood splattered, entering the crimson furnace. Instantly, a power of time, carrying time symbols, and Scarlet King's origin blood essence, suppressed towards Chu Bei. Almost at the same time, the celestial slaying sword in Chu Bei's hand lit up at the same time as his body, sweeping out endless golden sword light, piercing through the power of time, heading straight for Scarlet King. With a boom, the celestial slaying sword light collided with the power of time, great Tao symbols flying. After a short stalemate, the celestial slaying sword light annihilated Scarlet King's power of time, and arrived in front of Scarlet King, about to kill him. Feeling the celestial slaying sword light, Scarlet King roared, all his origin blood essence seeping out of his body, burning fiercely. The other was stronger than he had imagined. He had to fight with his life on the line. With the burning of his origin blood essence, Scarlet King's aura rose another level, temporarily entering the 9th heaven. Boom! The starry sky shook, and time was destroyed. Time was like an ocean, drowning Chu Bei. Chapter 485. Previously, this king was worried about rewriting the great river of time to avoid harming myself. Now, this king no longer fears death, igniting my essence blood to completely activate the power of time. Who can stop me? On the battlefield, Scarlet King seemed to have gone mad, his face sinister, as he roared at Chu Bei. Then, only to see Chu Bei submerge in the sea of time, one could vaguely see his hair turn white, body starting to age. Not good! Scarlet King is going all out. Great One, his situation is not looking good. When they saw the situation on the battlefield, Ao Feng and Gan Yi, the two immortal kings' expressions changed greatly. Shi Hao, Meng Tianjing, and the others' eyes were even more so filled with worry. Go to hell! Scarlet King went mad, all of his essence blood burning fiercely, wrapped within blood-red flames. As his cold voice sounded, the scarlet furnace appeared in his hands again, becoming more and more terrifying. It released chaotic energy, swirling with the ripples of time. However, when the Scarlet King furnace was about to smash into Chu Bei's head, the latter's white hair immediately became black again, his skin also instantly returning to its original state, as if the power of time disappeared from Chu Bei's body. Meanwhile, at this time, Chu Bei laughed. His entire body was wrapped within golden sword radiance, and then his body merged into the immortal killing sword. Golden radiance surged, mysterious and unfathomable, containing endless great Tao profound mysteries. Hong Long! A sky-shocking noise sounded, irregular scenes appearing one after another. Chu Bei and the immortal killing sword became one, first destroying the Scarlet King furnace, and then smashing fiercely into Scarlet King's chest. In that instant, Scarlet King's chest was penetrated, staggering backwards. The raging flames around his body were extinguished. No, impossible! Scarlet King roared. His roar was filled with unwillingness. He couldn't accept that his most powerful attack after igniting his essence blood actually couldn't injure the other party. The wantonly consumption of his essence blood made him reveal his original body. His entire body was scarlet red, the head of a flood dragon, the body of a lion, covered in blood-colored scales, sinister and vicious. Stop pointlessly struggling, just end things here. Just as Scarlet King was about to risk his life again, Chu Bei's voice came from Xu Xian's sword. In the next moment, the god-slaying sword was fixed above Red King's head. Endless golden sword light was like a torrential river, instantly annihilating the time fragments outside Red King's body and then bombarding his body. Ah! Scarlet King screamed in pain as he was wrapped up by the golden sword light. It was as if he had turned into a cocoon as he constantly twitched. At the same time, Chu Bei walked out of the celestial slaying sword with a round plate in his palm. The center of the disc released a golden light, sucking Scarlet King in. Crack! Crack! This time, in addition to the crunching sound of chewing, there was also a strange baby's laughter. Death is nothing to be afraid of. My emperor is coming, and all of you will die. Even you are no more than an ant in front of his majesty. This king will be waiting for you on the path of reincarnation. Red King's hysterical roar came from the center of the disc. You won't be able to enter reincarnation. Following Chu Bei's mocking words, the golden disc suddenly trembled. Then, Scarlet King's voice disappeared. Scarlet King Great One was killed! Not even Scarlet King was his opponent? How could it be like this? Retreat, hurry and retreat! While looking at the dazzling golden disc, the foreign great army snapped out of their daze. When they looked at Chu Bei again, the expressions on their faces became more and more fearful. However, before they could return to the tear in the round wall, a strand of sword radiance swept out. With a hung noise, the foreign great army turned into nothingness. Not a trace of them could be seen. Dead, the foreign great army was completely wiped out. Are these the methods of that mysterious Great One? It really is too terrifying. No wonder the 6 Great Ones weren't his opponent even after joining hands. However, speaking of which, who was the Emperor Scarlet King was referring to? Could it be one of those legendary illusory immortal emperors? Could it be that there is someone from the other side whose status is above Scarlet King's? This emperor might not necessarily be a foreign expert, but rather a creature of darkness. While Immortal Domain's cultivators were discussing intensely, Chu Bei walked out from the Immortal Domain that was established. Many thanks to Great One for taking action. With that half-immortal king in the lead, the cultivators of this star domain all bowed towards Chu Bei, their faces full of gratitude. That day, many star domain realm walls were broken through in Immortal Domain, creatures of darkness entering. Fortunately, these creatures of darkness seemed to only be probing attacks. When they encountered powerful opponents, they would immediately withdraw. As for the matter of Chu Bei killing the foreign Scarlet King, it also quickly spread throughout the boundless immortal domain. What exactly is going on? From what I know, there are already 7 cities that have been attacked. Fortunately, those immortal King Great Ones took action in time, or else the consequences would be too horrible to imagine. It is rumored that the invading creatures of darkness this time are much stronger than the one from 1,000,000 years ago. The creatures at the head of each wave are all at the immortal king level. Then have you all heard about the foreign great army invading? It is even Scarlet King who is leading them. What? Scarlet King? That foreign giant who isn't weaker than Great One Hong Tian. However, don't worry, Scarlet King and the foreign great army have already been completely killed by the mysterious immortal kings from the 9 heavens 10 earths. Turns out there was still this kind of thing. But why would the creatures of darkness and the foreign great army invade immortal domain on the same day? Don't tell me it really is like the rumors, that the foreign people are the descendants of the creatures of darkness. As time went on, immortal domain gradually calmed down. Every corner began to intensely discuss the scene that happened a day ago. The next day, with Hong Tian and the other 5 great immortal king giants in the lead, the immortal kings each guarded a star domain, waiting in full formation. With the lesson of the previous day, all of immortal domain's cultivators entered a state of battle preparation. Those supreme beings, true immortals, half-immortal kings, and even immortal kings who were originally in seclusion all woke up one after another, joining the battle preparation army. The third day. Hong Long Long, immortal domain shook intensely. Regardless of which direction it was, they were all shaking, as if they were suffering continuous attacks. Immortal domain cultivators, all of you, prepare for battle. At this moment, Hong Tian's powerful voice sounded in every corner of immortal domain. The feeling of trembling is several times more terrifying than the one 1,000,000 years ago. An immortal king sighed in admiration. Soon after, all of the powerful cultivators frantically poured their immortal force into the realm walls, trying to stabilize immortal domain. Kacha, kacha! However, even though they did everything they could, the realm walls still released crisp cracking sounds. One could see long and thin cracks begin to extend like spiderwebs. Not good. Darkness matter is seeping in. Following the first cry of fear, more and more powerful cultivators began to shout out in unison. At this moment, immortal domain's realm walls began to be invaded by darkness matter. Hong! A long time later, another explosion sounded. Immortal domain's realm walls completely collapsed and collapsed. Immediately afterwards, the originally boundless star domain was completely enveloped in darkness. Those powerful cultivators who released resplendent immortal radiance could clearly be seen in the darkness. Hong Long Long! Immortal domain's barrier collapsed. Every corner was quickly filled with roiling black mist, accompanied by intimidating buzzing noises. Immediately afterwards, pairs of green eyes appeared in the black mist one after another. Endless darkness creatures emerged from the black mist, rushing towards immortal domain's cultivators. These darkness creatures in the black mist, their cultivations were mostly at the self-severing realm and self-release realm. Even though they couldn't pose any threat to immortal domain's supreme beings and true immortals, for some cultivators below the supreme being level, they brought immeasurable disaster. In that instant, the originally peaceful and auspicious immortal domain turned into a hellish battlefield, intense fighting noises everywhere. There was no lack of screams of alarm among them. Kill! Shouts of war shook the heavens. Those were immortal domain's cultivators fighting against the darkness creatures, fighting until they went crazy. Hong Tian, Pan King and the other immortal domain immortal kings didn't join the battle, instead looking towards the even higher sky dome. There was a wave of aura that gave them an ominous feeling that was growing stronger. Pun! Following an explosive noise, the sky dome distorted. Several star regions were pulled together by a wave of strange power, and then it was as if a giant black hole was formed. Ripples surged. An ancient palace that released an incomparably terrifying aura appeared. It was especially massive, especially grand. A new great era has descended. After today, immortal domain will no longer exist. An ice-cold and sinister voice sounded from the ancient palace. Then, a terrifying creature whose arms were covered in scales walked out from the ancient palace, a pair of cold eyes immediately finding Hong Tian's position, releasing resplendent divine radiance. Soon afterwards, several figures descended from the ancient palace, all of them carrying terrifying auras, covering the heavens. There were some creatures whose bodies were like wild oxen, with lion heads, their entire bodies covered in green scales. There were some creatures whose entire bodies were shining, as if they were cast from silver, their eyes swirling with intimidating black radiance. There were some creatures whose entire bodies were wrapped in black flames, great Tao symbols flickering in their surroundings. Without a doubt, these terrifying existences were all immortal king-level darkness overlords. Right now, their eyes were separately locking onto immortal domain's immortal kings, their faces expressionless, eyes deep and cold. Pan King, fight again! With a swoosh, a crimson spear shot towards the star region where Pan King was. It was boundlessly thick, and it was tens of thousands of miles long. It erupted with boundless killing light, and a murderous aura overflowed into the sky. This was an immortal king-level darkness creature. Its body was surrounded by endless rolling black fog. Looking closely, it was as majestic as a demonic mountain, unapproachable. Compared to 3 days ago, its aura was even more terrifying. Pan King frowned. He directly opened up a battlefield and fought with the Darkness Immortal King. Rumble! At the same time, the other Darkness Immortal Kings each found an Immortal Domain Immortal King and began a peerless battle. At the Immortal King level, both sides had their own concerns, so they did not use the Immortal Domain as a battlefield. Instead, they each opened up a new world as a battlefield. At the same time, in a dead region without any vitality. My lord, the darkness creatures are attacking! Ao Feng and Gani looked at Chu Bei with incomparable respect, their faces solemn. You all should go and help out first. Chu Bei gave Shi Hao, who was currently facing tribulation, a look, and then waved his hand towards Ao Feng and Gani. Right now, Shi Hao already experienced 999 failures. Meanwhile, this was also the one with the most hope. Right now, it was precisely Shi Hao's most crucial moment. To put it bluntly, the life and death of others in Immortal Domain had nothing to do with him. He only cared about Shi Hao, so he naturally wouldn't leave at this time. Chi chi chi. Great Tao flowers fluttered down from the heavens of this star domain, rustling about. This was Immortal King Tribulation, a type of Great Tribulation that combined all of the recorded Immortal King Tribulations, as well as many mysterious and strange Immortal King Tribulations. Every single Great Tao flower contained a type of incomparably terrifying tribulation. Shi Hao was currently bathing in this sea of Great Tao flowers. From time to time, flower petals would flutter down in front of him. Every single petal would produce an extremely terrifying Immortal King Tribulation. Among them, there was 9 heavens lightning, star domain force, Immortal Kings silhouettes gathering, Emperor weapons carrying Emperor aura attacking. Ah! Shi Hao roared towards the heavens. His hair flew upwards, as if he went crazy. There were many times where he almost died in the Great Tribulation. Behind him, there were 3 figures, resisting the only Immortal King Tribulation of all time with him. One figure stood on a great cauldron, 9 heavens lightning curling about all around him, blasting the Great Tao flowers. Another figure stood on a great bell, the power of all heaven's star domain mixed together. Another figure was dressed in black clothes, long hair fluttering about like a black hole, terrifying devouring force released with every raise of his hand. His embodiment transformation technique produced the 3 existences he saw in reincarnation. As time went on, the number of Great Tao flowers became fewer and fewer. On the other hand, Shi Hao began to calm down from his berserk state. He sat down in the air, closing his eyes as if he was comprehending something. In the end, great Tao flowers swirled around his body one after another, but they didn't produce any great tribulation. During this process, Shirhao's aura began to rise. When it reached a critical point, a great rumbling noise sounded. His embodiment transformation's 3 figures returned to his body. At the same time, the great Tao flowers around him also merged into his body. In that instant, this star domain entered a state of deathly stillness. A long time later, Shirhao slowly opened his eyes. Many thanks for Master's protection. Shirhao gave Chu Bei a deep bow. After entering the Immortal King realm, he could finally vaguely judge Chu Bei's current strength. 3rd level of Immortal King realm, not bad. Chu Bei nodded in satisfaction, his eyes carrying praise as he looked at Shirhao. The other party's Immortal King tribulation really was terrifying after all. After breaking through, he actually directly reached the 3rd level of Immortal King realm. This type of strength was already not weaker than the Taichu and Yuanshi trio he killed before. Master, this shouldn't be your respected self's true strength, right? In reincarnation, this disciple previously encountered senior brother, he seemed to have already touched upon the Emperor realm. Meanwhile, according to what he said, your respected self's strength is still far above his. Shirhao's eyes focused as he looked at Chu Bei, asking probingly. Your path of cultivation is still extremely long. Chu Bei lightly patted Shirhao's shoulder, saying with a smile. Let's go, let's see what the outside world is like. Immediately afterwards, Chu Bei and his master disappeared from this deathly still star domain without any life force. Long. 6 hours had already passed since Immortal Domain's realm walls collapsed. Right now, Immortal Domain was already in a state of devastation, beaten beyond recognition. Of course, the ones who created this scene weren't those Immortal Kings, but rather true Immortals and half-Immortal Kings. As for Immortal King level unmatched existences, they formed a battlefield of their own. Chapter 486. After clashing for a long time, regardless of whether it was the darkness creatures' overlords or Immortal Domain's giants, they all suffered injuries that were either serious or light. When Chu Bei's group returned to Immortal Domain, Shirhao directly appeared in the endless battlefield where Pan King was. It was because the latter was currently being attacked by 2 darkness creatures, his situation extremely bad. Pan King, let's see how long you can hold on for! Only to see that in the endless starry domain, a scarlet war spear was pulled out from Pan King's chest with a chi sound. Golden blood scattered everywhere, crushing the void. Even if the 2 of you come together, so what? This king still doesn't fear you! Pan King roared out, endless resplendent immortal radiance swirling around his body. Then, he casually grabbed a starry domain from a direction, using it to repair the injury on his chest. Right now, even though Pan King's blood and chi were still vigorous, it clearly became chaotic, as if he was forcefully holding on. At first, he could still deal with a single Darkness Immortal King. However, ever since another Darkness Immortal King joined in, the battle situation immediately became one-sided. His cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Immortal King realm, but his opponents were 2 Darkness Immortal Kings who were similarly at the 3rd level. In the continuous battle, every move they exchanged was a life-and-death struggle. Even though he also injured the other 2, his injuries weren't as serious as his. Still trying to show off, nothing more than an arrow at the end of its flight. The other Darkness Immortal King released a cold snort. He held a black spear and slaughtered over again, carrying heaven overflowing baleful energy. Even if this king dies in battle, I will definitely drag you 2 down with me. Pan King's entire body surged with blood energy, starting to seep out from the surface of his body. Long. However, when he saw Pan King make his decision, about to ignite his origin essence blood, a figure appeared on this battlefield. Wherever this figure passed, pitch-black cracks would appear behind him, densely packed like a spiderweb. Who is it? While looking at the figure wrapped in hazy energy, a Darkness Immortal King questioned. Meanwhile, at this time, There seemed to be darkness creatures who sensed the terrifying aura contained within that figure. Another darkness overlord appeared on Pan King's battlefield. To put it simply, there were 3 immortal king-level darkness creatures on this battlefield. Pan Wang, leave the 3 of them to me. You just stay at the side and recuperate. An ethereal voice rang out. Pan Wang was stunned. His expression was a little absent-minded. This voice was very unfamiliar to him. He had never heard it before. But through the hazy qi, the other party gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity, as if he had seen him somewhere before. Kill! Without waiting for Pan Wang to speak, the figure charged towards the nearest dark immortal king. All of you must die. With a loud bang, the dark immortal king collided with that figure. Countless divine chains of order intertwined, entangling together. Billions of beams of light bloomed, each of which could cut through the universe and become eternal. A battle between immortal kings was extremely shocking. Perhaps it was because there were 3 dark immortal kings on Pan Wang's side. They gradually became the focal point of the battlefield. More and more people cast their gazes over. Roar! Accompanied by a mournful roar, blood splattered from the collision. In the first exchange of blows, the dark immortal king's palm exploded. His Dharma body was also shaken, and his huge Dharma idol broke through the starry sky. Don't tangle with him. We'll help you. Seeing this, the other 2 dark immortal kings immediately appeared beside the injured creature of darkness, releasing terrifying might together. Clang, clang, clang! The dark immortal king that arrived last released billions of sword lights. It was too dazzling. That was his secret technique. So what if the 3 of you come together? I'm not afraid either. Looking at the 3 dark immortal kings that rushed over at the same time, the voice of the figure wrapped in hazy qi was still calm, extremely calm. Then, a low chant was released from that figure's mouth. In the blink of an eye, it filled every corner of the celestial realm. After thousands of years, he will transform into Willow Deity. As the first voice fell, a figure appeared above that figure's head. It walked out, standing side by side with him. It was a peerless supreme expert. Its blurry appearance was similar to Willow Deity, with a towering tree behind it. He will transform into No Beginning. As the second voice sounded, another figure appeared beside the first one. Behind him was a large bell. The bell's sound was long and drawn out, and the power of endless star domain pervaded the air. He will transform into a vicious person. As the third voice fell, a third figure appeared beside that figure. It was a woman in black. She had a peerless appearance. Her eyes flickered like endless black holes, and there was a terrifying devouring power within them. Senior Brother Hua. As the fourth voice fell, the fourth person appeared. He stepped on the myriad chi cauldron, and the 9 heavens lightnings surged behind him. His aura was suffocating. As that figure chanted, 4 figures appeared around him, standing side by side with him. Such methods. Looking at the scene in front of him, Pan Wang sucked in a breath of cold air. He was truly shocked by the other party's methods. These 4 people were not phantoms, but real people. Moreover, the aura of any one of them was stronger than his, and they had already reached the 4th stage. The 3 dark immortal kings looked at each other and frowned, their faces becoming gloomy. Fight! As the emotionless syllable fell, the figure and the 4 people that it transformed into charged towards the 3 dark immortal kings at the same time. Rumble, rumble, an intense battle unfolded. Amidst the terrifying rumbling, this battlefield became the focus of all the cultivators' attention. Even the other immortal kings and dark overlords who were still fighting temporarily stopped fighting and looked over. The battle became more and more intense. Endless light rain fell, and all kinds of divine chains of order and resplendent immortal light interweaved. After an unknown period of time, a dark immortal king let out a miserable scream. His body was cut open, and blood stained the starry sky. Before everyone could react, another dark immortal king roared in pain. His head was cut off, and his body was torn into pieces. Following that, the third dark immortal king screamed. Under the continuous bombardment, he was turned into a pile of minced meat. The three dark immortal kings let out unwilling roars one after another, filled with dense hatred and killing intent that soared into the sky. However, before their broken limbs could reassemble, a divine inscription with a strange aura pressed down on them. The mysterious power contained within it directly seeped into their souls and bodies. In the next moment, the three dark immortal kings discovered that their reassembly had been inexplicably cut off. What was even more terrifying was that a mysterious power that they had never encountered before was tearing at their souls. Suppress! An ice-cold voice that didn't carry the slightest trace of emotion sounded. The hazy energy around that figure's body scattered, revealing his appearance. He raised the heads of the three dark immortal kings one after another, and then sealed their souls. Almost at the same time, the four figures he produced returned to his body, disappearing without a trace. Sure! Great One, sure how! It's actually him! When they saw that figure's appearance, recognizing his identity, the expressions of the 9 heavens 10 earths cultivators changed. They all felt as if they were struck by lightning from a clear sky, as if a bucket of cold water was poured over them. They couldn't help but cry out in alarm, their entire bodies becoming numb. Ao Feng, Gan Yi, Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, and the other experts who had interacted with Shi Hao before, or even just met him face to face, all sucked in cold breaths of air, their faces at a loss for what to do, as if they were struck by lightning. Shi Hao's appearance, as well as his display of strength, left them all unprepared. How could it be you? Pan King was stupefied, similarly shocked. It was as if he already lost the ability to think, standing there unmoving like a piece of wood, his eyes staring blankly at Shi Hao. He never would have thought that the one who saved him would actually be that senior Chu's disciple. Because of Chu Bei, he had previously shot Shi Hao a look, but because the other party's strength was nothing more than a trifling supreme being realm, he only gave him a look. However, who would have expected that after just a few days, the other party's strength would actually already be above his, powerful to this type of terrifying degree? After calming his pounding heart, Pan King took a deep breath, and then cupped his fists towards Shi Hao. Many thanks to immortal friend Shi for saving my life. Now, the other party's strength was even above his own, so he naturally had to treat him as someone of the same Tao. When he looked at those creatures of darkness who stopped fighting, they all had expressions of disbelief as they stared at the three heads in Shi Hao's hands, their entire bodies going taut like stone, their hearts also sunk like they were filled with cold lead. As for those dark immortal kings on the other battlefields, their expressions were similarly ugly to the extreme. Master! Under the eyes of countless creatures of darkness and immortal domains cultivators, Shi Hao held the heads of the three dark immortal kings in his hands. With a step, he appeared in front of Chu Bei, bowing deeply. Chu Bei looked at Shi Hao, nodding in satisfaction. Then, with a flick of his finger, a golden disk appeared, devouring the heads of the three dark immortal kings. Immediately, 3 miserable screams sounded, carrying fear, as if their hearts and lungs were splitting. It made one's heart shiver inexplicably, as if they were suffering some type of intolerable torment. Following a wave of crunching sounds, the miserable cries of the 3 dark immortal kings completely disappeared. In my opinion, Great One Shi Hao's cultivation increase is definitely related to that Great One. This is definitely the case. Those are 3 dark immortal kings, yet they were killed by Great One Shi Hao just like that. One has to understand that just a few days ago, Great One Shi Hao was still a supreme being. Just how did that Great One accomplish this? Gradually, the eyes of immortal domain's true immortals and immortal kings shifted from Shi Hao's body to Chu Bei's body, their eyes full of great shock. Hong Tian and the other 6 great immortal king giants gave each other a look, and then they looked at Chu Bei at the same time, all of their faces only carrying expressions of shock. Judging from Shi Hao's previous actions, the other party's strength already caught up to theirs. It was to the extent where under the other party's terrifying heaven-defying methods, if they truly fought, they might very well be defeated. My emperor is about to arrive, destroy immortal domain! Right at this time, the darkness overlord who previously fought an intense battle against Hong Tian released a low roar. Hong Long Long. As that darkness overlord's roar sounded, the darkness creatures who were still immersed in shock snapped out of their daze, once again releasing terrifying auras, throwing themselves at Immortal Domain's cultivators. Kill! We vow to protect Immortal Domain with our lives! Immortal Domain's cultivators snapped out of their daze, their shouts shaking the heavens, their auras overflowing into the heavens. In just a few breaths of time, the darkness creatures and Immortal Domain's cultivators carried out another chaotic and intense battle, all types of brilliance interweaving. Those Immortal King-level battlefields similarly began to fight again, all types of unmatched natural laws clashing, large amounts of stellar domains evolving and exploding. Sure Hao gave Hong Tian's battlefield a look, and then his freedom transformation technique was displayed again. Following a loud noise, 5 more figures appeared in Hong Tian's battlefield, all of them at the 4th level of Immortal King realm. With Sure Hao's addition, the balance of the battlefield was instantly broken. Sure Hao was extremely powerful. The 4 unmatched experts from embodiment transformations slaughtered their way towards that darkness overlord from different directions. In less than a quarter of an hour, that darkness overlord's body exploded 100 times, to the extent where there were several times where even its soul was almost torn apart. Roar! A world-shaking roar resounded through the starry dome. That darkness overlord turned into its original body, on its back a pair of great pingwings, a dragon head, for limbs like a white tiger, as if it was formed from many types of divine bodies. Retreat to the ancient palace first! Prepare to receive the Emperor! That darkness overlord's body was torn apart by Sure Hao again. He didn't continue fighting, fleeing from the battlefield, flying back to that ancient palace in the distant sky dome. At the same time, after the other darkness overlords gave Sure Hao a look, they also didn't continue fighting, returning to the ancient palace. 111! Sure Hao gave the guidance ancient palace in the sky dome a look. A fist smashed apart that battlefield, and then he rose into the air. However, right when he brought the 4 great experts with him, preparing to continue attacking the darkness overlord, the ancient palace suddenly shook, trembling and crying out. Immediately afterwards, the ancient palace surged with raging immortal flames, releasing strange great Tao sounds, a terrifying aura surging. Then, this boundless great region where Immortal Domain was located underwent a strange transformation. The boundless starry sky seemed to have become transparent. One could vaguely see the distant world outside this great region. Chapter 487. That is... Immortal Domain's cultivators were all shocked, all of them stupefied. They saw an inconceivable scene. That was an expanse of sea, vast and boundless. Every single wave contained a ruined world, rising and falling. There were time fragments swirling about, immortal corpses and undying remains in the sea, rising and falling. At the same time, there were creatures who were still alive, standing on the waves formed from ruined worlds, currently crossing the sea, heading in Immortal Domain's direction. When one looked over, there was actually black mist curling about the surface of those creatures' bodies, no different from the creatures of darkness. That is... Realm C! Hong Tian, Pan King, and the other giants clearly recognized that boundless sea, crying out in alarm. Meanwhile, the terrifying creatures in Realm C surrounded by black mist seemed to have seen Guidance Ancient Palace's burning immortal flame, seeing it as a lighthouse, illuminating their path ahead. My heavens! Are they all creatures of darkness? If this really is the case, can my Immortal Domain's great army still stop them? The intuition those creatures give me is that even the weakest is a half-immortal king, right? Could it be that Immortal Domain really is going to fall today? While looking at the creatures who crossed the sea, sensing the auras they released, the expressions of all of Immortal Domain's cultivators changed greatly, carrying alarm. Hong Long! In Realm C, there were creatures who attacked with war spears in hand, stabbing towards this place. An unmatched immortal spear stabbed out from Realm C, instantly piercing through endless starry domains, as if it was going to directly stab into immortal domain. Chi! Another blood-colored spear appeared, the sharp spear tipped scarlet-red like blood, directly stabbing into immortal domain's northern starry domain. Large amounts of deathly still starry domains exploded. It really is creatures of darkness. It's the helpers those fellas brought over. They are trying to destroy immortal domain. When they sensed the explosive sound waves from immortal domain's northern regions, the souls of immortal domain's cultivators began to tremble. This wave of aura really was too terrifying. Yaru, you still haven't dealt with the matter I entrusted you with. You actually still need our help. Those creatures of darkness in Realm C seemed to have gotten closer, their sinister and overcast voices ringing through immortal domain, carrying unmatched might. Walala! A pool of seawater transformed into a great dhow, connecting to the great region where the celestial realm was located. The creatures that crossed the sea stepped on the waves and headed toward the guidance ancient palace. Wherever they passed, countless stars were directly annihilated into nothingness. Lord Ranger, there's a change here. The overlord of darkness named Yaru, who had been fighting against Hong Tian, immediately bowed respectfully when he saw the leader of the creatures crossing the sea. Are you talking about him? When the ice-cold and indifferent voice sounded, the leading creature that crossed the sea gave Sher Hao a look of disdain. A streak of pitch-black light shot out from its eyes. Sher Hao shouted loudly, not the slightest trace of fear on his face. He slaughtered his way over together with embodiment transformations for great experts. Bang! However, in merely an instant, the 4 experts he'd manifested were penetrated by that ray of light, and then they collapsed into a rain of light that dispersed into the surroundings. It wasn't that they weren't strong, on the contrary, any one of them had cultivation comparable to Sher Hao's, 4th level Immortal King level cultivation. However, the strength of this terrifying creature that had crossed the sea was simply too terrifying. As for Sher Hao, he used the void pill to block it, but despite this being the case, he was still sent flying outwards, his aura chaotic. When they saw this scene, Hong Tian, Pan King, and the others' expressions immediately became ugly to the extreme. Embodiment transformation. I've seen this type of precious technique in the Age of Emperor Collapse. I never expected to see it again today. The sea-crossing creature named Ranger shot Sher Hao a look of shock appearing in his eyes. Fortunately, you haven't completely grown up yet. Otherwise, it really would be a great disaster. As the cold voice fell, a terrifying black fog spread out with Yushan as the center. Wherever the black fog passed, all the stars were annihilated. There were cultivators who were affected. As soon as a miserable scream sounded, their originally exuberant blood energy and souls were completely devoured by the black mist, becoming a pile of broken bones, all the way until they turned into nothingness. How powerful! Not even Lord Sher Hao has the strength to retaliate. Is Immortal Domain really going to be destroyed? Do you all think Senior Chu can stop these fellas? When they saw the stars explode one after another, Immortal Domain's cultivators all looked like dead ashes. When they looked towards Ranger in front of Guidance Ancient Palace again, their faces all revealed fear. This king stands at the peak of immortal kings, vaguely already touching the aura of an emperor. Unfortunately, it is still a bit lacking. Ranger looked at Sher Hao, not directly dealing the killing blow, a hint of hope actually appearing in his eyes. If I can learn embodiment transformation, comprehend this type of precious technique, perhaps I can borrow this to enter that cultivation realm. When his voice sounded, the darkness creature named Ranger reached out his right hand, black mist curling about his palm, lightly slapping down. Under a strange wing sound, a giant black mist palm appeared above Sher Hao's head, the aura incomparably terrifying, covering the heavens. Attack together! At this time, before Sher Hao made any movements, the distant Hong Tian, Pan King, and several dozen other immortal king giants moved at the same time. They carried endless immortal radiance, great Tao flowers swirling around them, their auras rising to the extreme. They faced the giant black mist palm together. A group of ants! A cold snort carrying disdain sounded. With a ping noise, the giant black mist palm crushed down, immortal domain completely cracking apart, becoming scattered. Hong Tian, Pan King, and several dozen other immortal kings' bodies exploded, turning into flesh that covered the skies, slowly reassembling. The giant black mist palm continued to press down, but when it was about to smash into Shi Hao's body, a resplendent fist imprint silently appeared. Pung! A sky-shocking noise sounded. The resplendent fist imprint smashed apart the giant black mist palm, moreover continuing to smash towards Guidance Ancient Palace. A kung-chang noise sounded, mixed with countless mournful howls of anguish, endlessly painful. The resplendent fist imprint smashed fiercely into Guidance Ancient Palace. Those darkness overlords in front of Guidance Ancient Palace were immediately attacked by a wave of irresistible mysterious force, their bodies exploding, the sinister black mist in the surroundings scattering. Who? Ranger frowned, his expression becoming serious. When a low shout sounded, a figure appeared in his line of sight. That figure stood next to Shi Hao. Master, this disciple isn't his opponent. Shi Hao bowed towards Chu Bei, his expression respectful. He is already at the peak of the 9th degree realm, while you are only at the 4th degree realm. Losing is also normal. Chu Bei lightly patted Shi Hao's shoulder, the corners of his lips carrying a smile. After saying this, he looked towards Ranger. Right now, Chu Bei still held the immortal killing sword in his hands. What changed was that his entire body was wrapped within blue-green radiance that surged from all directions. Above his head, a golden disk floated. The center of the disk released a blue-green pillar of light, as if a stellar stream was hanging upside down, directly rushing towards his entire body. What was shocking was that there was actually a great river of time flowing within that blue-green pillar of light. There were many types of space-time within, every single one of them having countless figures prostrating in worship. No matter who you are, you have to die! Ranger's eyes locked onto Chu Bei's body. When he snapped back to reality, he released a great roar. Then, his hands moved, producing 9 black rings of light. The rings of light were connected to each other, a terrifying black beam of light piercing through the void, shooting fiercely at Chu Bei. Hong! However, right when this black beam of light that could destroy the all-heaven star domain was about to drown out Chu Bei's eyes narrowed. Blue-green light shot out from his eyes, directly facing the black beam of light. The instant it collided with the black beam of light, the blue-green light seemed to have immediately turned into a terrifying black hole that could devour all things in this world, instantly devouring the black beam of light. In the time it took for sparks to fly, it was completely silent. Kacha! Only when the blue-green radiance smashed into Guidance Ancient Palace did Immortal Domain's cultivators hear a clear shattering sound. This time, cracks finally appeared on that complete Guidance Ancient Palace, extending like a spiderweb. As for those darkness overlords that were struck by the light, before they could even scream miserably, their souls already disappearing. When they saw this scene, Hong Tian, Pan Wang and the other Immortal Domain giants were all stunned. When they looked towards Chu Bei again, it was as if they were all getting to know a new person. They were all numb. Those darkness overlords that were erased just now were existences that fought an intense battle against them before, all of them Immortal King-level creatures. However, just a second ago, these fellas with similar strength were directly killed by a streak of light. That's Lord Shi Hao's master! Senior Chu took action. Not only is he not weaker than that Realm Sea creature, he instead seized the advantage in these 2 clashes. That Realm Sea creature is already at the peak of Immortal King level. In that case, is Senior Chu still an Immortal King? It seems like with Senior Chu here, Immortal Domain might not necessarily die. The eyes of the 9 heavens 10 earths, Immortal Domain, and the other cultivators all looked towards Chu Bei's body. After being stunned for a moment, they became full of excitement. The Emperor Aura! This is impossible! How could Immortal Domain have an emperor? Yu Shan's expression completely changed. His eyes stared rigidly at Chu Bei, his face full of disbelief. Ayo! After muttering to himself, Yushan released a roar. The scales on the surface of his body shone, displaying endless star domains. 9 tails wrapped in whirling black mist appeared behind him, erupting with endless black radiance. The 9 tails moved about, actually separately turning into a group of ancient beasts from the age of Emperor Collapse. They surrounded Chu Bei from different directions, at the same time opening their mouths to release black-purple flames, stellar streams surging within the flames. This was Yushan's ultimate attack, erasing everything, shattering the heavens. However, what left him horrified was that no matter how the black-purple flames burned, they just couldn't burn through the blue-green light barrier around Chu Bei's body. For the sake of pursuing a higher cultivation realm, you all sacrifice yourselves to the darkness, yet did you know that this path was nothing more than a scheme? Chu Bei wasn't in a rush to take action. He looked at Yushan with incomparable calmness. A deep sigh sounded, ringing through this great region, directly shaking everyone's minds. As his calm voice fell, the blue-green light around Chu Bei's body, as well as the blue-green pillar of light hanging down from the golden disk above his head, retracted into his body. The next moment, Chu Bei took a step forward. All the blue-green light around him disappeared, but what changed along with it was his aura. If Chu Bei was said to be powerful before, then the current Chu Bei gave off a very ordinary feeling. There wasn't a trace of pressure on him, just like an ordinary young man. When the creatures in Realm C were brought here, he used the one and only level 20 commodity right to use. Chapter 488. Rumble. In the star domain, Chu Bei's robes fluttered even though there was no wind. His hair fluttered slightly as he walked in the void with his hands behind his back. There was no energy fluctuation on his body, but if you really treated him as an ordinary person, you would find that there was an inexplicable supreme power on his body. Just a glance at him made you have the urge to kneel down and worship him. As he took a step forward, the immortal domain that had collapsed into thousands of pieces healed, and the realm wall reappeared. Roar! From the realm C, the supreme creature called Yushan's aura became more and more terrifying. He continued to urge the 9 black-purple flames to burn Chu Bei. However, even without the turquoise light shield, the black-purple flames still couldn't do anything to Chu Bei. It's a pity to kill someone who has cultivated to this level. Chu Bei looked at Yushan calmly. As he sighed, he raised his hand and waved it gently. The black-purple flames that surged over instantly dissipated. In the next moment, an indescribable invisible force seeped into the flames like a spider web, instantly tearing apart the endless star domain contained within the flames. In an instant, the blazing black and purple flames disappeared into the void of the starry sky. Emperor! You are indeed an emperor! Looking at the calmly approaching figure, a look of fear finally appeared on Yushan's face. Although he was at the peak of the immortal king realm, he had never entered the emperor realm. There was an insurmountable gap between him and the emperor realm expert. Chu Bei didn't respond to Yushan. He just pointed his finger. In an instant, Yushan let out a miserable scream. In an instant, the rolling black fog around him was invaded by a supreme power. It directly penetrated his hard scales and seeped into his body, tearing at his divine soul. While howling in pain, Yushan twisted his body. The surface of his body made clanging sounds. Countless star domains that were compressed to the size of a palm exploded, resisting the strange power that Chu Bei had unleashed. At the same time, he used a supreme paragon skill to condense 9 black balls of light. They connected with each other and blasted towards Chu Bei. However, before these 9 black balls of light could land on Chu Bei's body, they were easily extinguished by the latter without the slightest effort. So what if you're strong? My emperor is coming, and not just one person. There was an emperor before who was just like you, but his ending was to be suppressed by our emperor's joint efforts, buried in Realm C. Yushan roared loudly. Dark symbols burned on the surface of his body. His hands swung about at a high frequency, and an ancient and strange sound came from his mouth. It rumbled with the power of a star domain. In this desperate situation, he used the ancient method of Tao verification, forming 9 magical seals in one go. Every single seal corresponded to a type of divine ability, and all of them contained the terrifying energy of a star. The 9 great divine abilities merged with each other, and erupted with dazzling and resplendent light, and it was as if the heavens and the earth were being split apart. It was unparalleled. Death is nothing to be afraid of. My emperor is coming, I will definitely be resurrected. The wandering puppet seemed to have gone mad, roaring as it controlled the 9 types of precious techniques to combine into one. This was his strongest attack, and it had killed countless celestial kings before. Facing the attacking Yushan, Chu Bei smiled calmly. With a raise of his hand, this star dome was frozen, and Yushan, immortal king who carried a supreme precious technique, was also frozen. Apart from this, a gloomy white radiance appeared in his palm. Within the radiance, one could vaguely see millions and millions of irregular scenes interweaving. Hong Long! With a loud explosion, the area where Yushan was turned into a white light, and nothing could be seen. At this moment, regardless of whether it was the celestial domain cultivators or the creatures of darkness, their expressions all froze, stunned. Sir Yushan disappeared! Where is he? Where did he go? Impossible! He is the number 1 person below the Emperor level. He won't die, he definitely isn't dead. Is he really an Emperor level expert? How can there be an Emperor level expert in celestial domain? Those powerful creatures who crossed the sea together looked at the expanse of white radiance on the battlefield in horror. In their perception, Yushan's aura actually disappeared. In front of Guidance Ancient Palace, the surviving first batch of Darkness Immortal Kings all looked at Chu Bei in horror. Previously, when Shihao appeared, they thought that the other party was Celestial Domain's most powerful individual. When Yushan, this 9th Heaven Celestial King, arrived, they felt that the battle had ended. Unexpectedly, the true most powerful individual in Celestial Domain was actually a monarch-level expert. Senior Chu 1. Our destroyed home was also repaired by him. Did you all hear what those overlords of darkness said? Monarch-level expert. Senior Chu is a monarch-level expert. Could it be that that is a cultivation level above Celestial King tier? Turns out that in the Battle of Pan King City, he hid his strength. With his current strength, dealing with Ouching Yuanshi, an absolute beginning would probably only take a single thought. The cultivators of Celestial Domain looked at Chu Bei, who stood in the sky with his hands behind his back. When they came back to their senses, they all cried out in surprise, carrying excitement and joy. Hong Tian, Pan King, and the other Celestial King big shots exchanged a look, and then smiled bitterly. At first, they thought that the other party was also a Celestial King like them, and that his cultivation level was only a bit higher than theirs. Now, it looked like their way of thinking was a joke. Senior really can never see through him. Indeed, even if you say now that this is not his true strength, I would believe you. Meng Tianjing, Immortal Wang, and Zhao Haotian exchanged a look. Ever since the Age of Emperor collapse, the great era of darkness that made even Celestial Domain feel fear, with this Senior Chu here, did not seem so terrifying anymore. What are you trying to do? Sensing the indifferent gaze that Chu Bei shot over, those creatures of darkness that crossed the sea shivered inexplicably, a chill rising in their hearts, some fear appearing on their faces. Even though the weakest among them was a half-celestial king, and most of them were even celestial kings who had survived since the Age of Emperor collapse, when they met that person's gaze, they still couldn't help but feel fear. After all, the other party was a monarch tier that was far above them. Our emperor is about to arrive, you cannot continue to persist in going about things the wrong way. One of the celestial kings took a deep breath, a trembling voice coming from his mouth, clearly weak and powerless. There is no need to wait for them to come, this great one will go find them personally. Chu Bei's gaze swept over the group of creatures of darkness, his voice carrying a smile as his voice sounded, and then he waved his hand. Soon after, A prison that carried a terrifying aura and interweaved with supreme power took form in the sky. Before the group of celestial kings of darkness could react, they were forcefully restrained by a rippling giant hand, and then thrown into the prison. Rumble! Then, under countless pairs of eyes, Chu Bei took a step out, disappearing from celestial domain, and when he appeared again, he had already arrived at the seemingly endless realm sea. Meanwhile, what everyone saw was only the scene of the realm sea that was projected in the sky. The realm sea was vast and boundless. It represented eternal death and silence. It was very special, clearly black waves rising and falling, yet there were specks of luster within, like the rising clouds of the morning sun, carrying brilliance. Mist surged. This was essence energy, spiritual essence, as well as a bit of bloody smell, left behind by the fall of unmatched experts. Every wave contained a ruined world, rising and falling, time fragments swirling about. In the sea, there were immortal corpses, skeletons of unmatched existences, rising and falling. Is that the origin of the darkness matter? Truly strange. What exactly is at the end of the realm sea? Is there really an opportunity to become an emperor? Celestial domain's true immortals and immortal kings gazed at the boundless sea, muttering to themselves. It was different from ascending to the critical sea from primordial west journey plane. Ascending to the critical sea from perfect world's plane, Chu Bei first appeared on a dam. As expected, only emperors can leave behind traces. This time, the group of dark immortal kings trapped in the prison were shocked, their souls trembling. On the dam, a row of faint footprints appeared, clear and dazzling. Even though the footprints were faint, they were truly imprinted on the dam, left behind by Chu Bei. He followed the dam, continuing forward. In the age of Emperor Collapse, a row of faint footprints had also appeared before. Even after countless great eras, they still existed. It was also precisely because of the appearance of these footprints that countless immortal kings began to enter the depths of the realm sea, searching for its traces, wishing to explore the limits of the realm sea. Now, it seems like Senior Great One's strength is already comparable to that existence from the age of Emperor Collapse? Speaking of which, did that existence from the age of Emperor Collapse head into the depths of the realm sea to quell the darkness source? If that really is the case, then he should have failed. Otherwise, why would the darkness storm still erupt from time to time after all these years? Why would there be the current dark great era? In that case, then Senior Chu's trip this time, could it be? Shut up! Don't speak nonsense! Senior Chu will be fine. Celestial Domain's immortal kings seemed to have thought of something, all of them looking at Chu Bei's back figure, worry appearing on their faces. That emperor from the age of Emperor Collapse never returned, life and death unknown. Now Senior Chu, who was also an emperor, also stepped on this path, making them feel uneasy. They learned from Darkness Immortal King that there were their emperors on this path. Moreover, there was more than one. When they thought of this, their moods naturally became heavy. Even though from the current situation, the Darkness Immortal Kings who attacked Celestial Domain were all imprisoned, the emperor behind the scenes was still alive in this world. If this Senior Chu of unknown origins who was incomparably powerful didn't return, their Celestial Domain would inevitably still walk towards destruction. Senior can definitely do it. We have to believe in him. There were immortal kings who clenched their fists and said this to themselves, extremely serious. Ever since Chu Bei appeared and killed peak stage immortal King Yu Tian, he obtained the acknowledgement of all of Celestial Domain's cultivators, including the immortal kings, becoming Celestial Domain's hope. Walala, the sea water surged. Chu Bei stepped over the dam, floating above the terrifying sea surface, his eyes indifferently sweeping over his surroundings. Immediately, the sea region Chu Bei was in clearly didn't fit in with the other sea regions. It was more like a passage that extended into the distance, as if leading to the end of the realm sea. Above the sea surface, there were surging black mists curling about. As for the sea regions on both sides of this passage, they were incomparably terrifying battlefields. Only, the creatures fighting in these millions of battlefields were all paramount existences, coming from different space-time. Taking a closer look, each side of the battlefield seemed to be isolated from each other, and they were not affected by each other. Chapter 489. Look, so there are not only creatures of darkness in the realm C. The aura of celestial kings. They are actually all celestial kings. They seem to be in another space-time, and do not belong to our era. Realm C. Senior Chu, where did he come from? Looking at the battle in the Realm C, the paragons and true immortal elites of the celestial realm were stunned. Pan King, Hong Tian, and the other celestial kings appeared much calmer, as if they had long known about this. Look! Another person has stepped onto the path of darkness. Another one who is tired of living. It has to be said that this path of darkness is indeed the most difficult to get lost in, but it is also the most dangerous. Sigh, on the path of darkness, there will be another corpse of a celestial king. Chu Bei's sudden appearance immediately attracted the attention of the celestial king elites from the alternate spacetime on both sides of the sea. They all stopped their current battles, and there was a look of amusement on their faces. His aura, I actually cannot see through it. What? Even you cannot see through his cultivation level? In that case, doesn't he already rank as a pseudo-celestial emperor? After a ninth heaven peak stage celestial king spoke, the expressions of the elites from the alternate spacetime changed abruptly, disbelief on their faces. Perhaps he has gone even further than those celestial kings before. That ninth heaven peak stage celestial king spoke again. They were in different spacetime, and mainly treated the Realm C as a battlefield, but they also had a very strong curiosity about this mysterious Realm C. Now, there was a pseudo-celestial emperor stepping onto the path of darkness, and they naturally could not miss this opportunity to follow and explore this mystery. It's him again! At this time, an eighth heaven celestial king cried out in surprise. He had just stopped his battle, and when he saw Chu Bei's appearance clearly, he recognized him at first glance. What? You know him? Quickly tell us where exactly he came from? Which era does he belong to? On the sea, a celestial king from the alternate spacetime asked. This is the second time I have seen him. The last time I saw him, it was in the Northern Sea, and he killed a pseudo-celestial emperor. When he said this, that eighth heaven celestial king sucked in a cold breath. Who would have thought that when we met this time, he actually came to the path of darkness? Moreover, these two times he belongs to different space-time. Are you sure? Hearing this, all the elites from the alternate spacetime instantly. There's no mistaking it. The impression he has left on me is too deep. That eighth heaven celestial king was incredibly resolute. How is this possible? Even though we can go against the flow of time, we don't dare step foot into other spacetimes at all. We're deeply afraid that we'll rewrite the history of that spacetime and bring an indelible calamity upon ourselves. According to what I know, there was once a fourth heaven quasi-immortal emperor who reversed time and space and tried to kill his enemy in the cradle. In the end, he drew a great tribulation and was unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation. If what you said is true, then wouldn't this guy have stepped into two spacetimes, and even killed a half-immortal emperor? With such a terrifying influence, how can he be completely fine? When the experts from another spacetime looked at Chu Bei again, their faces were filled with shock, and their eyes were filled with doubt and confusion. Even if that eighth heaven celestial king had repeatedly guaranteed that what he had said was true, this was still hard for them to believe. After all, this had overturned their understanding of the world. Rumble! At some point in time, a storm had been set off on the surface of the sea, and billowing black fog was churning. Chu Bei ignored the celestial king elites from another spacetime on both sides of the sea, and continued to advance along the path of darkness beneath his feet. Above the path of darkness, gales whistled past, destroying all things. The so-called wind was actually a symbol of great Tao, and one could see the rise and fall of various galaxies. However, there was no sign of life, and its might was unparalleled. Chu Bei looked ahead, his hands clasped behind his back as he stepped on the sea and advanced. Walala! Suddenly, in this sea region called the Path of Darkness, an ancient beast appeared. Its back was covered with bone spikes, and every bone spike was as black as ink. They shot up into the sky, and there were innumerable stars circling around them. It was incredibly ferocious, like a massive flood dragon covered in black scales. Black fog rose and fell in its massive blood-red eyes. Perhaps it had stayed in the path of darkness for too long, and this creature had already lost itself. It opened its bloody mouth, and directly bit at Chu Bei. Facing that flood dragon ancient beast that pounced over, Chu Bei's expression didn't change at all. He didn't even give it a second look, and raised a hand and tapped out with a finger. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, the ancient beast shattered, turning into rolling black fog that dissipated. It wasn't that the flood dragon ancient beast wasn't strong, but rather the opposite. Its cultivation level had already reached the 8th heaven celestial king tier, and it had swallowed innumerable powerful creatures in the realm sea. Even those celestial king tier elites from a different space-time were most likely no match for it. Unfortunately, it had chosen the wrong target this time. No matter how strong celestial kings were, they were still celestial kings in the end, and there was an insurmountable gulf between them and monarch tiers. But not long after, another figure targeted Chu Bei from the bottom of the sea. This was a draconic person with disheveled hair. He roared, dark fog wrapped around his body, and launched a fierce attack at Chu Bei, suddenly attacking him. His strength was even stronger, his cultivation level already reaching the 9th heaven of the celestial king tier, and was on par with the creature of darkness, Yushan. Unfortunately, he had also lost himself, and only lasted less than 3 seconds in Chu Bei's hands before he was killed. With these two as a warning, those terrifying creatures that had lost themselves in the sea instinctively changed directions, and retreated to the sides, opening up a path for Chu Bei. As expected of an existence that has stepped into that realm, the existences on the path of darkness actually made way for him. If it were us, I'm afraid we would have died in the mouth of the first ancient beast. A group of experts from a different space-time looked at Chu Bei's back, muttering to themselves with envy in their eyes. Rumble, the waves churned, and the black fog rolled. Chu Bei continued to walk on the waves. Along the way, Chu Bei passed by many islands, and also saw the celestial kings that had mysteriously disappeared from this space-time. Of course, these islands were not on the path of darkness, but on the sea on both sides of the path of darkness. They were all still alive, each sitting cross-legged on an isolated island. When Chu Bei arrived, they opened their eyes one after another with surprise on their faces. Who is this person? He belongs to our space-time. He didn't come against the river of time. Why haven't I seen him before? Could it be that he's in existence before the age of Emperor collapse? He actually walked along the path of darkness to here. Could it be that in this process, he didn't encounter those terrifying ancient beasts? He couldn't be thinking of entering that ultimate ancient land through the path of darkness, right? On the various islands, ancient celestial kings spoke out one after another. They looked at Chu Bei's back, shock on their faces. In recent days, they could feel that there was a dark storm brewing in the depths of the realm sea, and this mysterious person of unknown origins just happened to be heading alone at this time. Chu Bei's eyes swept over the ancient celestial kings on these islands, and nodded slightly in acknowledgement, not stopping at all. After greeting the ancient celestial kings, Chu Bei continued to walk along the path of darkness. Aside from the beginning, there were no other ancient beasts in the sea that blocked Chu Bei's advance. This kind of peace continued until Chu Bei arrived at the depths of the realm sea. Chu Bei stopped advancing, and looked ahead calmly. He saw a waterfall of darkness hanging down from the chaotic sky, like a rolling sea. Looking at the two sides of the path of darkness, the weakest of the elites from a different space-time that could follow Chu Bei here was already a 7th heaven celestial king. Boom! Chu Bei waved his right hand, and a dazzling white light turned into saber ray. Accompanied by a loud sound, a huge gap was cut open in the waterfall of darkness. It was also at this time that the sky above the waterfall of darkness began to distort. Closely after, one after another, palaces appeared, descending with supreme might. These palaces were connected to each other by divine rainbows. Aside from the soul-stirring black fog that curled around them, there was also a large number of mysterious seals that had the aura of monarch Tao. So there is not only one guidance ancient palace. On the islands, the ancient celestial kings that belonged to this space-time in the first place stared in shock at those palaces in the sky, and they all sucked in a cold breath. They had never stepped onto the path of darkness, and because of that, it was also the first time that they had seen so many guidance ancient palaces. Chi, 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 chi. Innumerable creatures of darkness walked out from the various guidance ancient palaces. Their whole bodies were shrouded in black fog, and their eyes were filled with blood-red light. After a mere glance at Chu Bei, it was as if they had found prey, and they charged over crazily. Pseudo-celestial kings were rarely seen in the outside world, but in this guidance ancient palace, they had become ant-like existences. Kill! The densely packed creatures of darkness released gloomy and low shouts. How were these guys born? What is going on with their auras? Could it be that all of this is related to the end of the realm sea? The experts from another space-time first swept their eyes over the countless guidance ancient palaces, and then looked at the incomparably powerful army of darkness that blotted out the sky and covered the earth, and their expressions all changed in shock. As for Chu Bei, he was still incomparably calm, and his expression did not change in the slightest. With a clang, a golden disk appeared above his head, and green divine light gushed out from the disk. Just as the army of darkness was about to drown Chu Bei, the golden disk seemed to have become a terrifying giant mouth that was about to swallow him whole. From the giant mouth, green threads shot out, and the moment they touched the creatures of darkness, they immediately split into several threads that wrapped around them, and then dragged them into the bowl. Kacha! Kacha! In just a short few seconds, these creatures of darkness that were shrouded in black mist released miserable screams, and even a few creatures that were about to give birth to Emperor Dao Aura couldn't escape the disk's devouring. At the same time, a chilling chewing sound came from the center of the disk. The painful screams of the army of darkness became weaker and weaker until they completely disappeared. They all disappeared! Is that his Tao-proving Emperor weapon? The experts from another space-time who followed along the long river of time were all numb at this moment, staring blankly at the path of darkness, their expressions absent-minded. The army of darkness that numbered in the thousands was actually completely devoured by that golden disk in a few breaths of time, and it was unknown whether they were dead or alive. The ancient immortal kings in this space-time all widened their eyes in shock, their faces full of shock, all of them feeling that this was inconceivable. There were also some bold ones among them, slaughtering their way here in order to pacify the darkness source and resolve any future troubles. However, time was ruthless, and reality was cruel. Only after stepping onto the path of darkness did they understand that with their strength, they really were powerless to defy the heavens. Chapter 490. After dealing with the army of darkness creatures, Chu Bei released several more punches in succession, smashing apart all of the guidance ancient palaces in the sky universe like crushing dry weeds and rotten wood. Then, he continued on his way. After passing through the waterfall of darkness, 3 figures appeared in front of him. Look, quickly! It's the 3 of them! Butcher, chicken farmer, and fake medicine seller! They are actually still alive! Furthermore, they have come here. The ancient celestial kings on the island that originally belonged to this space saw the appearance of the 3 figures clearly, and immediately cried out in surprise. Not only them, but Hong Tian, Pan King, and the other celestial kings in the celestial realm also showed expressions of disbelief. No matter which of these three beings it was, they had all left behind indelible glorious deeds in the long river of history. Someone else has come! These three figures seemed to have noticed something, and opened their eyes at the same time. They were very strong, terrifying celestial light coiling around their physiques. Symbols of great Tao were dazzling, densely packed, and protected their bodies. May I know who you are? Have you also avoided those ancient palaces? The one who spoke was a burly man. He was called Butcher. His skin was bronze, his hair messy, and he carried a bow on his back. The power he exuded was extraordinarily shocking, and could be said to be matchless. Before setting foot in the realm sea, his cultivation level was already 9th heaven celestial king, and now, he was just a little bit away from becoming a half-celestial emperor. Fellow celestial Butcher, this lord has directly come here after destroying all the guidance ancient palaces. Chu Bei did not answer Butcher's question, but there was an ancient celestial king who answered. What? Hearing that ancient celestial king's words, Butcher's eyes were filled with disbelief. No matter whether it was him or the other two, they had all used ancient techniques to avoid those guidance ancient palaces to come here, because even as strong as they were, they did not have the confidence to defeat those beings in the guidance ancient palaces. You are a monarchier! That being called Chicken Farmer seemed to have noticed something, and there was a probing tone in her words. She was very delicate and pretty, staring at Chu Bei. Though she looked delicate, no one dared to underestimate her. Faintly, the aura that exuded from her body was not weaker than Butcher's, just that it was too restrained. In ancient times, the reason why she was jokingly called a chicken raiser was because she once raised a flock of true phoenixes in front of her residence. Senior, I've seen you before. I've also seen your disciple, Celestial Emperor Yi. I didn't expect you to come to our space-time. Unlike the previous two, the figure selling fake medicine cupped his fists at Chu Bei with a respectful expression. What? He is Celestial Emperor Ye's master. Are you talking about the quasi-immortal emperor who went against the flow of time to meet us? Hearing that the situation of selling fake medicine had worsened, the butcher and the chicken farmer were shocked. Their mouths were wide open, and they looked at Chu Bei with more respect. I didn't expect you guys to have interacted with little Yi. Chu Bei glanced at the three creatures, his gaze becoming friendly. Senior, are you going to quell the origin of darkness? The butcher, the fake drug seller, and the chicken farmer glanced at each other, then respectfully looked at Chu Bei and asked. Chu Bei nodded slightly and continued forward. Senior, we are willing to follow you. The three creatures immediately spoke. They had waited for hundreds of millions of years, and their goal was to quell the origin of darkness. However, their own strength was not enough. Now that they saw an emperor arrive, they naturally wanted to lend him a hand. I alone am enough. Chu Bei's voice was calm. After sweeping his gaze over the three creatures, he swept his gaze over the experts from the other space-time and the ancient immortal kings on both sides of the path of darkness. As for you guys, just watch from afar. Senior, I'm afraid you don't know that the existence at the end of the realm sea is also an emperor. The butcher spoke with a solemn expression. It's precisely because I know, so do you think with your strength, you can help me? Chu Bei's lips curled up with a smile. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the three creatures sighed. They were indeed not qualified to participate in the battle between emperors. Perhaps they would be killed by the aftermath before they could even make a move. Senior, are you sure you can do it alone? I wonder where your disciple Celestial Emperor Yi is now. Can you let him go against the river of time to help? The butcher and the other two sighed, their expressions very helpless. They had cultivated for a long time, but in the end, they could only watch this emperor in front of them fight alone. Chu Bei smiled and did not answer, continuing on his journey. The butcher and the other two did not hesitate and immediately followed. As for the experts from the other space-time and the ancient immortal kings, after hesitating for a moment, they also continued to follow, but they clearly pulled apart the distance. As time passed, Chu Bei gradually walked to the end of the path of darkness, and the rolling black fog disappeared. Boom! The moment Chu Bei stepped out of the path of darkness, a terrifying storm attacked. Countless great Tao symbols swept out, surging with killing intent. Chu Bei did not move at all. A majestic aura seeped out of his body, directly shattering the storm. Is this the end of the path of darkness? At some point, the experts from the other space-time and the ancient immortal kings also stepped into the path of darkness. After all, in the sea region outside the path of darkness, there were still attacks from terrifying ancient beasts. On the contrary, this path of darkness became incomparably safe because of Chu Bei's existence. The end of the path of darkness was still the realm sea, but the sky above the sea was chaotic and hazy. There was no vitality here, nor was there essence energy circulating. It was lifeless, like a kingdom of death. The most terrifying thing was that the great Tao laws in this sea region were even more strange. Even those as strong as the butcher and the other two also felt an indescribable pressure. Walala, perhaps because of the arrival of Chu Bei and the others, this originally calm sea region inexplicably surged. Gradually, more and more corpses floated to the surface from the bottom of the sea. They had been silent for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. Their bodies released cold light, not moving at all. But those who could reach here were all peak existences among immortal kings, and even some had already comprehended the profound meaning of Emperor. Without a doubt, these corpses came here either to explore the end of the realm sea or to quell the source of the darkness. Unfortunately, their strength was not enough, and in the end, they became floating corpses in the realm sea. All of you, hurry and look over there. There is an island floating over. Right at this time, an ancient immortal king cried out in alarm. This was an island that wasn't that large, and it was completely bare. The most eye-catching thing was that there was a person seated on the island. He had turned into flames, and his body no longer existed. Right now, he was releasing an incomparably terrifying might. This aura, it's another Emperor. Is he dead? A half-immortal emperor died. The butcher, fake medicine seller, and the other peak immortal kings sensed this power. When they looked at the figure that turned into flames, their expressions immediately changed. There is another tree. Another ancient immortal king cried out in alarm. When they looked over, there was a damaged willow tree on that island that was about to be completely destroyed. It was only a foot tall, rising and falling in the fiery light that half-immortal emperor turned into. Willow deity. When they saw the willow tree that was on the verge of collapse in the flames, the experts in Realm C still didn't show much of a reaction. In Immortal Domain, Shihao cried out, his emotions greatly fluctuating. At the Immortal King level, there were some things that he could already guess a few things. He also knew that the willow deity that protected Stone Village wasn't ordinary. However, he never expected that after 1,000 years, the willow deity actually arrived at the end of the path of darkness, moreover about to have its body and spirit wiped out. Fortunately, there was the fiery light that half-immortal emperor turned into, temporarily entering a state of extinction, not completely withering away. Shihao's figure moved, disappearing from Immortal Domain, appearing above Realm C, moving along the path of darkness. Ancestral Guardian Spirit! It is actually still alive! Only it is a pity that it is also about to reach its end. The butcher, chicken farmer, Hong Tian, Pan King, and the other ancient immortal kings also recognized the willow tree's origins, their eyes flashing with shock. What exactly did this half-immortal emperor and ancestral guardian spirit encounter? An immortal king muttered to himself. Wing. The moment the immortal king's attention was focused on the flame formed by the half-immortal emperor and the willow tree's body, a strange wing noise sounded from the limits of the primal chaos sea. Immediately afterwards, large amounts of grand and massive buildings floated over, getting closer and closer. It was unknown which great era these buildings were constructed in, their auras majestic, intimidating. Even if it was creatures at the Immortal King level, as long as they tried to see what was going on, they would be mysteriously suppressed, unable to help but bow down. Those buildings, could it be that they are a city? At the end of Realm C is a floating city? Could it be that the Emperor the creatures of darkness spoke of is there? There are still living existences in that city! While looking at the city that floated over from the distance, the butcher, chicken farmer, fake medicine seller, experts from the other space-time and ancient immortal kings all revealed expressions of shock. At the same time, vigilance appeared on their faces. This city was incomparably massive, actually having endless stars swirling about it, floating on the sea surface just like that. In its surroundings, surging darkness rose and fell, mist surging. Hong long! Suddenly, a loud noise sounded. A streak of symbols shot out from within the city, floating into the sea. Immediately afterwards, those floating corpses that had been dead for who knew how many millions and millions of years slapped towards Chu Bei. Unfortunately, before these corpses could even touch Chu Bei, they were blasted into ashes by the invisible force around Chu Bei, dissipating with a loud bang. Chi! At this time, the symbols that shot out from within the city suddenly erupted with immortal radiance, and then turned into a demonic dragon, pitch black like an abyss. It roared as it pounced murderously at Chu Bei, erupting with world-shocking might. Nothing more than the manifestation of natural laws. Chu Bei was expressionless, casually reaching out his right hand. Cold white radiance extended from his palm, instantly wrapping around this dark demonic dragon's body. Then, only to see Chu Bei's right hand clench slightly, that cold white radiance that wrapped around the dark demonic dragon like a spider web suddenly contracted. Then, one could only hear a miserable dragon roar. Roar! The dragon roar shook the heavens, the sea's surface even exploding. This primal chaos realm sea was trembling. It erupted with the power of a quasi-immortal emperor, struggling to break free from the white radiance for a short period of time. It opened its ferocious mouth and bit towards Chu Bei. Chu Bei was indifferent. He leaned forward and reached out his hand. This time, he directly suppressed it with the golden disc. The dark demonic dragon roared, frantically struggling with its huge body. Unfortunately, no matter how it released the might of a quasi-immortal emperor, it was still unable to break through the golden disc above it. Bang! In the end, the dark demonic dragon exploded. Black blood soared like a volcano erupting. Quasi-immortal emperor natural laws wreaked havoc, even blasting away the chaotic mist above the sea surface. A demonic dragon with the aura of an emperor! Is that formed from the runes created by the emperor of the dark creatures? An emperor, what kind of existence is that? Looking at the dark demonic dragon that had been blasted into nothingness, the expressions of the immortal kings suddenly changed, and their gazes once again turned towards the mysterious city. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.